just want to read books. And, but eventually it becomes this place for vagrants and homeless and crime and violence, comes back up again. So now, as it sits today, that town, we also had the hospital. So the hospital where I was born was like catty corner to where I lived. And I mentioned about the Mexican consular visas being allowed, which basically means like, if you're an illegal alien, come on in, right? And there are studies, actually, I've gone back and looked at this because it's very personal, where I've seen that, okay, this was one of the very first places in the Philadelphia area that was so accommodating towards illegals, even more than the city of Philadelphia itself. And I actually wrote an op-ed, that must have been like, 18, 19, to the local paper saying, hey, if you do this, they're going to overwhelm the healthcare system and we're going to lose our hospitals because they're just going to use that for free, and they're allowed to because of the way the laws are set up in this country, and we're going to lose our hospitals. And of course, the flood of response letters saying, oh, that guy's a racist. Why would you publish that? Why would you do this? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they did, which is cool. Times Herald. And long story short, that hospital has been demolished. The hospital where I was born, where my father was born, has now been demolished. The church where I was baptized, where my father was baptized, where my grandfather was baptized, it's in arrears right now. The community is completely changed over, and they're just not able to take care of it to the level they used to in the past. And right next to that hospital, that lot, or again, where like I was born, my father was born, is a Planned Parenthood clinic. So
wow.
That's the town now. So that's going through an experience like that, and I'm able to vocalize it better than obviously I could when I was little. I couldn't understand why my mom and dad were moving us, because I'm in my mind, it's, hey, we have this great town, we have so many friends, we know everybody. Why are we leaving? And now I get it. They did it because they love me and my brother, and they wanted us to get out, and we had to, before something bad happens to us. And yeah, you can call it white flight, or you can call it gentrification, or not gentrification, but you can call it a number of things. But for us, it was, we just lost our home.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, what is success? How do you define success? And if you're like, oh, these days, it's like, how many followers do you have? And how many retweets did you get? And I'm like, in the back of my head, I've always just kind of defined success as living in a better part of the same town.
Yeah.
But I would still just want to have my town back. And, I was doing an interview once, and we got into all this, and I said, they said, well, what would you take? And I said, dude, I would trade all my followers and whatever if I could just have my town back.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I've ever wanted. So yeah, I've done more, since then. I went to college, I joined the Navy, lived in China for a couple of years. But if you want to ask me in terms of my background, what drives me, it's really that.
Yeah. How did you first meet Steve Bannon?
Steve. So I first met Steve, I guess, 2017. And I led a series of rallies outside of the White House that I called the Keep Bannon rallies.
Dude,
and we set up keepbannon.com at the time, and I'm down there with my fiance, my now wife, but I'm trying to think of the timing. Yeah, we weren't married at the time, but we had been engaged. So me, Tanya Tay, were down there. We had a dog with us because we didn't have kids yet,
Yeah.
And
you didn't even know him at this point. You set up a rally.
No, I hadn't met him yet.
Oh.
And we just realized that myself and a lot of people who had gotten involved in 2016 realized that this was a guy who he just saw things the way we did. And he saw how much we were losing in our country. And this movement was such a vehicle for populist nationalism to be able to restore that country that we're all fighting for. And so I led this series of rallies. Obviously, people know the history. And then not too long after, I think it was actually the week after Tanya and I got married, which is funny because I just remember it that way. So November of 2017, we happened to be at an event in New York together. And that's when we first met. And he was like, I remember him saying this. He goes, "Aren't you that guy that ran all those weird rallies for me?" And I was like, "I don't even know you." I was like, I liked what she had to say.
Yeah, I just thought you were cool. I thought
yeah. And so you just kind of just sort of got to know him since then. I could still remember, and I can still remember it was, a couple years later. He goes, it was early 2020, and he goes, and Raheem Kassam was, involved as well. And he said, I think we're talking about starting a podcast. A podcast? What do you mean? That's a podcast. He said, yeah, we need a China guy. He knows some China stuff. I was like, yeah, I know some China stuff. And, I was like, I did speak Mandarin in the Navy and all that. And we need you there at 8 a.m. on a Saturday. I said, okay, well, I'll be in. Man, I wonder if anyone's going to listen to that thing. And then that ended up becoming the War Room.
Yeah. Which, by the way, my mother-in-law watches every day. So she was very excited I was doing this with you.
Oh, that's cool. So,
and she was watching it. That was how I first found out about it. I was dating my now wife in 2020. And my mother-in-law was watching it every day.
Well, what we found is that people, it's become appointment viewing and appointment listening, and people who really do listen, it's not like the passive cable media kind of, dichotomy or the kind of paradigm where people are, it's on in the background and you're sort of looking at the headline and you see the headline and you just go back to whatever you were doing during the day. With War Room, it's you're locked in and you're listening to everything and you're following the memes and you're listening to the jokes and all the back and forth stuff that goes on. And people typically listen. Steve does 4 hours a day every weekday. A lot of Red Bulls.
Yeah.
Which we've been working on. We try to switch him to sugar free, maybe the monk fruit.
Yeah, give him the monk fruit.
The monk fruit, but
I'll deliver a case myself.
He's just such a creature of habit, though, and he's like, I like the regular rum because in his mind, right? So in his mind, the regulars are full strength,
right?
So he's like, if I'm getting something else, well, that's lesser. I want the full strength.
Yeah.
So we've tried to like work in the sugar frees, but it never goes well.
Never takes. Well, yeah, we were talking about before we were recording that a year ago today and this week there were a lot of big momentous events happening. Specifically today,
it's kind of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a year ago today that Steve went to prison. It was also a year ago today that your book came out, right?
So the book, it's like around that time, yeah. So Steve Goes to Jail. Unhumans comes out, where Steve wrote the foreword to it, which was our book that it was an anti-communism book, but written from the perspective of this isn't just history. This is current affairs. Yeah. that all of these things that have happened before are happening right now. And we predicted. We said you're going to see massive uprisings and upheavals of the populist left, where they're going to say we want to go after the CEOs, we want to go after the rich, we want to go after the landlords, we want to go after all of the means of production. And if they don't get their way, we're going to see political assassination. So Steve Goes to Jail. The book drops actually right before the book drops. Funny as amazing as he is, Steve went and signed a couple hundred copies of it for us as a special token and a special edition that we did. And so he did write the foreword to the book, and it is a War Room book. And we called it the Political Prisoner Edition. So you could get and I will admit, I have a couple of those stashed away for my own personal collection. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Those are going to be worth a lot.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, beyond that, just something I want to have for the family. And, we got like a shadow box and
it's like giving your boys a shotgun,
Yeah.
This is the hard stuff right here.
And then they call him Uncle Steve, the boys, they see Steve all the time. And then a couple days after that, Trump gets shot as Steve is in prison. And then 2 days later or something, JD Vance gets picked as the VP nominee. So, I mean,
and the assassination attempt happened around the same time, right?
Right. So book comes out, Steve goes to jail. Then that weekend is the weekend Trump got shot.
Yeah.
On July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania. I wrote another book about that too, actually, because I just had to. And then so that's a Saturday. And then the Monday is the day that JD gets picked.
Yeah.
So the Monday after the Saturday. So people forget all this, that, a year ago, and by the way, 1 week prior to all that was when Joe Biden collapsed on the debate stage in front of everyone. And so all of this happens in a 2-week period in the summer of 2024. And it's weird how summer of 24 hasn't really become a meme yet, but it really should, because it's just something where if we had like a serious media or serious journalist or anything like that, I mean, there would be documentaries about this. There would be examination of where America was. You've got huge figures becoming political prisoners. You've got Peter Navarro, by the way, also became a political prisoner, although he's back in the White House. So I was joking. Peter's following the Eastern European model, Dr. Navarro. So it's like he's the president's, the chief economic advisor. Then he gets sent to prison. Now he's back as an economic advisor. I'm like, you're in line to be deputy prime minister.
Yeah.
This is in Eastern Europe. This is actually quite normal. And my wife being from there, she said, oh yeah, that's I've seen this all the time. It's just different for us because we don't usually see this before. It's like, oh, he's the number one podcaster. Then he gets sent to jail. Now he's back. He's having meetings at the White House discussing war and peace policies.
Yeah.
And he comes back in and actually I'll say this about Steve, and I mentioned about my son that my older son Jack is. So fast forward 4 months later, Steve gets out, and just kind of a personal story about Steve that and he won't want to tell it, that Day gets out. So he gets out at 3 a.m. So he's up, and I don't know if he's awake, and he always keeps kind of weird, like he does sort of the Da Vinci sleeping thing where you only sleep in chunks.
Yeah, I get texts from him at very odd hours.
Yeah. So okay, you're in the early. Yeah, that means you're in. If you're on his early hours text list, you're pretty well in there, and that's how he is. And so taking my son to school early, it's like 7 a.m. And I said, hey, good news, Uncle Steve got out of prison. And it's just wild to me. My son at the time was 6 years old. He's 6 years old, and he knows a political prisoner.
Yeah.
And I told him the truth. I said, Joe Biden threw him in prison.
Yeah.
And it's very clear. He's like, why would he do that? Because he hates him and he hates Trump. And that's all it comes down to. And a 6-year-old can understand. They say, I don't like Biden. I don't like him either.
Yeah.
And I said, so Uncle Steve got out, and it's amazing. And then he goes, can we call him? I said, he's like,
he's probably really busy.
He's like getting out or asleep, it's 7 a.m.
Yeah.
And, obviously he was with his daughter, with Maureen. And I said, you know what? I was like, whatever, I'll play it. I said, you know what? I'll go in and fine, I'll try to call him.
Yeah.
And true to form, Steve Bannon, day he gets out of jail, 7 a.m, takes the call.
Yeah.
He goes, hey, how you doing? What's up? What's going on? He picks up the call. Actually, he goes, this is the way Steve almost always answers the phone. He goes, are we winning? To this day, that's how we always answer the phone. I said, I think we're winning because we got you out. Obviously, the election was a couple of days. It was 4 days before the election. And I said, yes, Steve, yeah, we are. And, I'm glad to have you back in the fight. And actually, someone specially wanted to say hi. And he goes, oh, is it Tanya? I said, no, it's not. it's my son. And he goes, all right, put him on. And he took the call from my 6-year-old son on the morning that he got out of prison, which, it doesn't mean anything to the world or politics or anything. And I just thought about it at that moment. Man, these people have no idea who we are.
Yeah.
In terms of the movement, in terms of just it, friendship and family and having those bonds. And they have no clue what actually drives the America First movement. And they think, they'll sit there and say, oh, you're xenophobes and you're racist and you're reprobates and, the whole litany, the parade of horribles. And it's like, no, we just care. We care about each other. We care about our country. And Uncle Steve and Papa Jack, right? We want a family and a community and a country that's going to be worth giving those kids.
Yeah.
And worth handing off to them, and not a country that's saddled with all this insanity that doesn't look or sound or smell or feel like the country that we grew up in. And it's really that simple. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. In fact, it's like the most common average thought in the whole world. And if it were happening in Japan, if it were happening in India or wherever it was happening, people would point out exactly what it was. But for some reason, here in the United States of America, when we say, hey, our country is becoming something that it wasn't before, and yes, mass immigration is a huge driver of this, suddenly, big trouble.
Yeah. Speaking of people who don't value family and love mass immigration, let's talk about Elon.
Okay. Oh, no.
So
I walked right into it, folks.
What the hell is going on? Like, he's back at it again. This episode is going to come out on Monday. We're recording this on Tuesday, so a lot may happen, in between now and then. But it seems like already this morning he's on another tirade against the president, against the big beautiful bill. What actually motivates this guy?
Could be a big beautiful law by the time this comes out.
That's true. God willing.
God willing. Inshallah. Deo volente. But no. I think what's my personal sense of it, just reading some of Elon's tweets about like budget and deficit and the money, which is really what he keeps focusing on. And and I happened to catch Bannon this morning, and obviously people have seen their feud. And he pointed out that there was a huge loss for the AI crowd in this most recent iteration of debates, 99-1 with this Marsha Blackburn amendment, saying that states can be allowed to regulate AI same way that they regulate corporations and all the rest of it, but was something that the AI crowd, like the tech bro crowd, had really, really been lobbying against because they want unfiltered, unregulated AI for everything. And well, that's
why is that
happen now? Why is that? Because that's going to, it's going to win. People who use Google now are in the slow lane.
I'm old.
ChatGPT, and which honestly, right now, ChatGPT is better than Grok. That could change, but it's just head and shoulders above Google, because Google, right? And this will change, of course, as money gets involved. But Google, you go to Google and it's like you type in, I'm just trying to search some fact, and whatever it is, you're going to get hit with like 10 links of ads. Then you're going to get ranked links that get sent to you, and you're just trying to find an answer to your question or try to find some detail, and you can't get there. You go to ChatGPT, boom, answer's right there.
Yeah.
And it spits it out, and the ads don't come in, and the all the superfluous nonsense is gone. And you can even drill down and make it more specific. And I use this, if you're trying to look up statistics, you're trying to look up different things, you can really refine things out, make a graph, make up whatever you want. You can just do that so quickly. Then with Grok, actually what I use Grok for more than anything else is as a Twitter search engine. So if I want to see something and I know that it's been out on Twitter or even social media writ large, I'll go to Grok, because I found that what Grok is better at doing is searching social media, because that's exactly how it's tied. And so it has the ability to track everything that anyone is saying about whatever thing you're interested in. And you could use this for, obviously in politics or current events, there's quite a bit, did we bomb Iran? Did Israel bomb, this site or Isfahan, whatever, and maybe you'll find somebody in Isfahan who's tweeting about it, like there was a guy in Abbottabad who tweeted out the bin Laden raid in real time back in 2011. And I've always said that's one of the seminal moments of social media. The problem was he didn't know what it was and nobody knew how to connect it until, hey, some helicopters flew over my house. But I did think there was a guy who said after the B-2s flew out of Whitehead in Missouri, there's a guy said, hey, a bunch of B-2s just took off.
Yeah, so I did see that.
So someone did tweet that out. So it's like, wow, you have this covert operation is getting blown by social media, but that's a power in and of itself. And so the reason that the AI oligarchs or the oligarchs, I guess is the term, they want it unfiltered and unregulated is because they realize that's going to be so much more powerful than anything Google ever did.
Right.
So much, and in fact, it already is. And the more they refine that, the more inputs they get to that, the more accesses they have, it's going to be that much more powerful. Also, though, this comes up. So Elon had a tweet at one point regarding copyright, and he was saying that copyright protection shouldn't extend to LLMs. And so this is a huge problem they have because they need to properly construct an AI, large language model, because they're not really AI, they're large language models. To properly do that, you need to be constantly feeding it data and constantly feeding it text. And then it's an algorithm of, which word is closest to this word. And then that's how you can use it to create something that seems like a reasonable facsimile of talking to another human being. But the problem is, what if you start feeding it copyrighted material?
I mean, isn't that just like stealing?
Chat check-in. Number 1, the anti-theist. Number 2, the life and times of James Charles. Thank you so much. I was so on time today, guys. I hope that we're all aware. Just so we know, I actually was late for myself because I didn't realize that I sent out in the Discord 12:30. I thought that I said 12. So I was actually half an hour late. And then when Hunter said on that damn dot, I was like, wait. And I was literally on time. I was so on time. So I'm just going to do that more often. Just forget to just give you guys like half an hour later time than I initially think. This was so painful. Jesus Christ. This was like, I don't know how to describe this. When he was describing how Steve Bannon called his son and was like, yeah, people think that people think that MAGA is like so full of hate, but Steve Bannon spoke to my 6-year-old son in the morning and we just love everyone. That's your basis of that's something that was so fucking. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, William, for the $20. Right-wingers are easier to endure when Arya is yelling at them. Please yell more. You yelling brilliantly and righteously at assholes is something unique and magnificent to behold. Bracing and life-affirming. Thank you so much. I will keep yelling. I just have to remember to turn my mic down so I don't blow you guys out. Anyways, so the way that I don't know if this experience. Fuck, I need to lower the music, it's too loud. Hey Google. Hey Google. Set volume to 2. Can you still hear? No, it's still. Hey Google. Set volume to 1. When you yell, do you know what decibels it reaches on your OBS microphone? 0? And then I can lower it to like negatives. How do I do that? That's so cool. I think I'm getting a new microphone. I might be getting a new microphone soon. To be determined. That's gonna be my next investment though, because I have a pop filter on this one. I just yell too much for this microphone. Like I have too prominent of a voice, and I hate listening to myself just because of the microphone quality. I love listening to myself, obviously, when I talk. That's why I talk so much.
Correct. And especially if you're selling what's on the other end, right? Yeah. So if you start feeding it books and movies and scripts and newspapers and news articles and even news archives and any type of content that's copyrighted like that, then all of a sudden you get into issues. So this is why, for example, Disney.
What settings am I putting for the limiter? It says threshold and release. What am I putting in for those?
Famously litigious, is now suing Midjourney. because Midjourney, and this is going to be the first of a series of these lawsuits, because Disney's saying, hey, wait a minute, you're making Mickey Mouse pictures and Homer Simpson, which Disney now owns, right? Because they got 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
And so you're making all these pictures, you're violating our copyright, you're violating our IP. And so you're going to, down the line, you're going to have this huge fight, and which has kind of already started, between IP and AI. So the fight's going to be between IP and AI, and you're talking potentially billions, trillions of dollars on the line here. And that's why they wanted it in the bill so bad.
Yeah.
And so of course, he's upset about that. Trump mentions the EV mandate, but with Elon, he seems more focused on the, the budget, the deficit, et cetera. And it's like, man, it's like his political awakening, in a sense. It's like he's made it.
Wasn't Jack Posobiec in a Piers Morgan show with Adam Mockler? Yeah, and he got fucking mogged. I think Hunter said that earlier, by the Mogler. He got absolutely fucking destroyed. This guy's like an absolute cuck. Like, oh my god, Actually, I should put that. I should watch.
I think Jeffrey Epstein.
Why is it that Donald Trump didn't threaten to sue from their families right outside of the courtroom?
Be Israeli if they could. So I
involved in another war.
And that's
Here for economic.
must be quite bemusing.
Monday night when it's a holiday here in the U.S.
Yeah.
A hearing of the evidence or release of the evidence, release of the file, a task force, even someone who's hot from Pam Bondi.
I mean, stranger things have happened.
I think the perception is horrible. I think the perception is absolutely horrible, and it puts a huge, huge onus on the entire administration, and certainly coming from Pam Bondi for her mismanagement of this. I want to go back to something that John was saying as well, but Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert. This is so Robert Maxwell is someone who's highly fingered in a lot of these conspiracies or a lot of these allegations. His entire career, there were allegation after allegation that he was involved somehow with Israeli intelligence, going all the way back even to the 1940s, and serious questions about some of the work that he did all the way through this. And then, of course, as it goes, she becomes the recruiter for Epstein. And so these questions have really gone deeper and deeper and deeper. And of course, there's no actual evidence or, just a hearing of the evidence or release of the evidence, release of the file, a task force, even a press conference, and instead we get, oh, well, we're just.
Everyone in this administration just looks so villainous at all times. If you just look, just object. Oh. I need to formulate my thoughts. Hang on. I'm also testing out the new browser. So I don't know, I'm kind of scared of this. But hang on. show me the face of every cabinet member in office in Trump's administration. Will this be able to give it to me? Oh my goodness! This is insane! Yo. Tell me they're not fucking villains. Look at this guy! Oh my god. Look, this is insane. Also, how do I zoom in on here? What the fuck? I can't make this any bigger? She looks nice. This is also the only one that was fucking normal, right? This was the only cabinet member that was normal. And then he always makes the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development black because Trump just does that. Oh my goodness. Look. This is insane. She has the fucking streak. The supervillain streak. She had that when she was a Democrat too, but I didn't like her for a reason when she was a Democrat. This is insane. Wow. Wait, I want to ask it to show me. Okay, now show me the faces of the top right-wing political Influencers, commentators, pundits. This is not sponsored, but I fucking love this browser. Jesus Christ, this is insane. But look at this. They're so villainous. Look at this guy. I hate this guy so much. Queen. Wow. I'm so in love with this browser. No. There's no always key. Ooh, that's a deal breaker. That's insane. Okay. There's like super, sorry. This is such a side tangent. This has nothing to do with anything about politics. This is just about this browser. This is from the browser company, right? They have Arc, right? One of my favorite things on Arc that I could do was that if I was searching something up, I could do like, I'll actually just go to Arc and show you. Like if I do YouTube like this, then I can search within YouTube. I can do like press briefing, right? And it'll show me like the press briefing. Boom. It's like, it's so quick. It's so like, right? I don't have that on Dia or Dia or whatever, DIA, DEI. And then also with Arc, I can go up here, I can do stay on top, and now even if I click off of the window and I'm like moving around this is like always hovering on top of my screen. And DEI doesn't have that. DIA. All 24 gigabytes of her RAM is about, yo, you don't even worry about it. I'm so stressing. I was testing this out yesterday. This never goes past 20. I had Premiere, I had Photoshop, I had OBS, and I had both of my browsers running, and Obsidian, and Reflector, and I think it went to like 22. It literally, like, it's I'm so chilling. Why do you dislike Michael Knowles? I feel like he is the archetype that is so exemplary of pseudo-intellect, and I hate it vehemently. Where'd my music go? Oh. It's just super quiet. So upsetting. Okay. Wait, we didn't even get to...
Just going to move on, and here's a press release on a Sunday night when it's, it's a holiday here in the US.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Adam, it is just a bit weird, the whole thing. I can't quite get my head around this because they were so emphatic that this was going to be huge. And now it's nothing. It's not like even mini huge. It's nothing. There's nothing to see here.
Yeah, and to build on that, I can't tell if it would be worse if this was a cock-up or a conspiracy. Because if it's a cock-up, that means they were straight up lying to the American people the entire time about what they actually had, right? Or if it's a conspiracy, that means they have it and they hid it the entire time. I mean, either way, it looks really bad on the administration. And especially for an admin that is created as grounds that is like primed for conspiratorial thinking. A lot of the MAGA influencers were super ready, super excited for the Epstein files to release. So when you create the grounds that are perfect for conspiratorial thinking, and then you pull back, there are going to be a lot of conspiracies about the admin now.
You know, Jay, it's a confusing time to be in MAGA, isn't it? It must be. Right?
Aww. They're all figuring out their identities, okay? MAGA, it's a confusing time to be a MAGA right now, okay? We're trying to figure out who we are outside of Daddy Trump. I sent a donut to ask a question to the Mogler yesterday on a stream with the new co-host. I feel like he's incredibly fresh and unique. Chris? Was that the live that they did? I didn't get to watch it, but yeah. Love him. Okay. I wish I had the time, energy, effort, wherewithal, or desire. Oh, hello. Okay. To go through and find when on my stream, like a week ago or 2 weeks ago or whenever the Supreme Court, whenever the Supreme Court thing. Chris is actually super based. Chris is one of those guys that got, sorry, I'm looking at chat from Hunter. Yeah, I think I just know him from Harry Sisson or whatever. Yeah, Chris is super based. There's him and Harry are the ones that got like fake pseudo canceled for being normal young men. Music again. The flip. Anyways, I wish I could go and find when exactly I said that this was literally going to go nowhere. Like, it, after looking at the arguments, after looking at, what the fuck? Why does it, what the fuck? Why does it look like that? Gross. That's just how it looks. There's no way it looked like that before. Am I tripping? All right. I didn't get to read through the whole thing, okay? Obviously, it's fucking 119 pages. My bad, sorry. But I skimmed it, and I was listening to the oral arguments, right? And I read... I gotta get better at... You know what? This is a good lesson in my note-taking. I need to, like, fucking put what the fuck these links are, so I don't have to do this, like, hopping around thing all the time. If Harry got canceled for that and Chris by proxy, I think Chris had his own, like, little, I don't know the specifics on that, but I think he had his own thing that, like, separate from, like, it wasn't like he was getting canceled, like, via Harry. And also when all of that was happening, I'm pretty sure Dean was on live and he was like, I just can't condone someone who disrespects women like that. I don't know, he made it seem like it was so fucking, I don't know, it was like, it was so dramatic. It's so, he was so reading feminist literature and like savior. I don't know the specifics of what happened. Maybe, I don't know. I'm so outside of all of that TikTok drama stuff. Your experience. We need to formalize the rules of cancellation. I don't think that people should be canceled. I think that we should just bring back, like, shame. Like, the whole idea of canceling, right, is like you shouldn't be able to have a platform. Like, you're being so egregious and so offensive and so, like, disrespectful and so evil, and you're spreading such, like, hate in the world that you shouldn't have a platform. that's so stupid and that's so retarded, and anyone that has that mentality is obviously, it's gonna end up becoming like, it's obviously not going to work. Number one, it's obviously gonna lead to a very toxic like environment, and it's obviously gonna lead to a lot of like morally self-righteous people claiming that like they're policing the internet, right? All that is so unnecessary if you just like let them be, but shame them. Like you have the right to be online and say that, but I should have the right to fucking tell you that you're stupid and retarded and to go like have fun in a video game, you know? You're looking up oral arguments for birthright citizenship. No, these were the oral arguments for the lawsuit wasn't about birthright citizenship. The lawsuit was about temporary injunctions. The lawsuit is gonna have, this is what I said. I wish I could find, oh my god, I never finished this thought from like forever ago. I wish I could find the stream clip of me when this first came out, when I said, this lawsuit is literally not going to do shit for the birthright citizenship. It's not going to go into effect. It's going to end up getting stopped anyways. As soon as I listened to this shit, and there was a part in the transcript where he literally says, oh, I need to test this out so bad. Find me the part in here where Sawyer says he's okay with moving forward with the class action. He does like a back and forth with Sotomayor. Is it this one? No, it wasn't this early. He does a this is so fun. Okay, right here. She says, so basically what this lawsuit was about was Trump issued an executive order attacking birthright citizenship, right? That is unconstitutional, that is illegal. He is not allowed to do that. That's never going to be on the books thing until Congress does it. Okay, that's one thought, like completely separate over here. Oh, I should get my iPad for this, but I don't have the energy. This lawsuit was because a lower district court issued a nationwide injunction stopping the implementation of this executive order. Now, nationwide injunctions are a very like controversial thing. I actually think they're very stupid, that I think that it's absolutely ridiculous, and I definitely is something to discuss and to resolve. It was like the issue of nationwide injunctions for like specific cases, right? The thing that got me pissed off about it was when Jack Smith was releasing his special counsel report, and there was a temporary injunction from Judge Cannon that got put to like Judge Cannon injunction. Like, she issued an injunction delaying the release of the Jack Smith report. And then I started doing research on like why the fuck she even like had the ability to do that. And it's so stupid that this is even a thing. Okay, right? That's also like a thing that's completely separate from that. For some fucking reason, for some retarded, idiotic, brain dead reason, because our Supreme Court is stupid, I guess, they decided to resolve the issue of nationwide injunctions, of national injunctions, this issue that has nothing to do with the birthright citizenship illegal executive order, in this fucking lawsuit. So as a byproduct, you got all these headlines that were like, oh my god, the Supreme Court just ruled that birthright citizenship was getting revoked. There is no birthright citizenship. Everyone's freaking out about birthright citizenship. That wasn't what the lawsuit was about. The lawsuit was about the national injunctions. They just, for some fucking reason, decided that this was gonna be the fucking case that they decided nationwide injunctions on. Like, it was never gonna do anything with birthright citizenship. Only insofar as it would make paperwork very difficult. Which is not nothing. Like, to be fair. But it wasn't gonna stop birthright citizenship, right? As soon as this part where Judge Sotomayor says, you know, we couldn't enforce it against universally is your argument. Solicitor General says, if there was a decision that violated the precedent of the court, then the affected plaintiffs could get a separate judgment, saying that every single individual affected by this fucking order would have to go and get a lawsuit. To which Justice says, you're talking about the hundreds and thousands of people who weren't part of the judgment to the court. They would all have to file individual actions. He says, not necessarily. She says, or a class action. He says, a class action would be. She says, that makes no sense whatsoever. Then they start arguing all of these hyper-specific fucking things about Rule 23 and some article XYZ, whatever, about class actions. And this is what the majority of the fucking legal arguments are about in the birthright citizenship case, is about Rule 23 and fucking class actions, and talking about whether or not who's affected by the court and who's allowed to bring a suit to the court. Okay, so all this Supreme Court ruling fucking ever did was make it so that lower district courts can't rule on nationwide injunctions anymore. That's not a thing that we can do anymore, okay? All it had on birthright citizenship was that the lower court that had the nationwide injunction no longer had the ability to put on that nationwide injunction. It didn't affirm birthright the revocation of birthright citizenship. All that had to happen was a class action lawsuit had to be filed. That's it. That's literally it. Oh my god, like, I'm so, like this, that's it. It's all a show. It's all theater. It's all a game. It's not for policy. Because if they were serious about this being some fucking national problem that's happening so egregiously, we're getting so, like, abused by these pregnant Hispanics that are coming over here and taking our birthright citizenship, right? Then why the fuck are you making it go? If this is such a big issue, why are you going about it in the most unserious, unthought through way as you possibly could? Like, because it's not. Because it's literally just so, it's just about the fucking headlines. It's just about the headlines so you can get people to freak out. It's just about making this big show, getting all of these racists all hyped up about, oh my god, the Supreme Court is affirming my racist worldview that fucking immigrants aren't allowed to live in the United States at all, like, or do shit, like. And then you have everyone, like, all the normies that are just getting, like, all of these headlines randomly filtered through. That's, like, one of the big headlines is, like, Oh my god, like, I had so many family members that were like, whatever, I don't even care. It's all a game. It's all a show. Why do I care more than half the people in this fucking government? Judge blocks Trump's birthright citizenship order in class action challenge. The federal judge reignited the legal standoff over President Trump's efforts to deny citizenship to children born to undocumented parents. Judge Joseph N. LaPlante also allowed the case to proceed as a class action, applying his order nationwide to babies born to undocumented parents. Hang on, sorry, I haven't been looking at chat. I need to look into it more, but it feels weird that SCOTUS rules on the inappropriateness of this, but rules the appropriateness of the LGBT injunctions. I understand the distinction between types of injunctions, but you can definitely tell the bias of the court when you compare these two in particular. Yeah, I didn't know about LGBTQ injunction. I'm kind of stupid. What? About the military? It's just very unfortunate that we're making these rulings during a time where it allows the current admin to run more rampant with their bad behaviors. True. That's arguably why Trump got away with the Smith case being pushed back so much. True. I agree that it'll be more difficult paperwork to parse through. I think when I hear people say the thing about naturalized citizenship, it's referring to ones that get through the cracks and deported. Huh? I think when I hear people say the thing about naturalized citizenship, it's referring to the ones that get through the cracks and deported. But I can see your frustration in the way that it's phrased as dramatic hyperbolization. When the people, what do you mean naturalized? I thought we're talking about birthright now. Did you mean to say birthright? Did they ever have arguments about Rule 34? I don't know. Did he pull out the fucking Rule 34 like secret code? Oh, this isn't the transcript. No Rule 34. What? I'm so confused. Is it true that kids of foreign diplomats born in America can't have U.S. citizenship? No, why would they have U.S. citizenship? That's what subject to U.S. jurisdiction means. That's like the one. It's like foreign diplomats and I think like prisoners of war or something. Like I don't know what the specific there was a case that ruled on this. It was Hang on, last time? I don't want to be racist. Fuck. Yes! Fuck, what? Why isn't it giving me... Should I ask my Daya? What are the Supreme Court affirmed classifications for not oh my god. There we go. Oh, I was so right. Children of foreign diplomats, children of enemies, occupying forces, and certain Native Americans. Yeah, not excluded is children of undocumented. Basically, this doesn't make any sense. It wouldn't make any sense to have a foreign diplomat give birth to a U.S. citizen, because why would, like, if you are French and your job is to be a French diplomat in the U.S., you are there representing the country of France. You also get diplomatic immunity because you're not subject to U.S. laws, because you're there as France. I don't know how to say it. I think there's a disconnect from what you're saying versus what I'm interpreting it as and what you're interpreting all of this as. So if you're open to talking about it sometime, let me know. Yeah, sure. There's also something else I don't want to talk about regarding to the Disney thing. So I can spread this thought around. I talked to Wick and Pisco Jola about it yesterday about it. What Destiny tweet? What? Do you want to link your Substack? In the chat, anti-theist? Wait, what the fuck did you try and get me to Google? What the actual hell is wrong with you? I'm so scared right now. That would suck. That would also suck for the kids of foreign diplomat, yeah. You guys have never seen Gossip Girl, and it shows. This is, I'm not even joking. I think that people need to be more, like, it's so not good for everyone to have such immense access to things, but only things that they want. Like, people should be forced to look at things that people should be forced to look at cultural moments and to partake in cultural moments that are cultural. like shows like Gossip Girl. In Gossip Girl, there are so many political themes. Like, I'm kind of like half memeing right now, but I'm being so dead ass. There's like this whole arc with a drug dealer, and the whole bit is that his dad is like a Belgium ambassador, so he just can be a drug dealer, and he can just be a drug dealer in New York City, and it's not the cops that he's scared of, it's his dad finding out that he's a drug dealer. I think the funniest thing is that I thought that he did have a sponsorship. I think that's so fucking funny that you didn't. He should have done Shadow Legends. He should have done Raid Shadow Legends. Oh, the bit is that it's a fucking VPN. Sorry. Oh, it makes sense. I'm stupid. You know what's so annoying? I feel like when I look up, actually, hang on. No, what should I look up? Oh my gosh, sorry. What the fuck is the lawsuit called? What am I? It's just the ACLU in New Hampshire. After recent Supreme Court decision limiting nationwide injunctions, lawsuits structured as class actions are effectively the only ones that can halt the president's policies across broad sections of this country. Yeah, it's just more paperwork. The Trump administration has fought to end the long-standing custom that people born in the United States are automatically citizens regardless of their parents' immigration status. Judge LaPlante's order ensures a new round of litigation and appeals. The judge and appointee... See, now I'm... Now are they going to bring this one to the Supreme Court and argue about class actions? Or are they going to start fucking debating the actual unconstitutionalness of the executive order? Who knows? Trump administration has also, hang on, the reason why this fucking court case ended up being so about Trump was because it was an appeal. So Trump was technically the plaintiff. So I don't know how to, like, usually, like, it would have been this person, Casa Inc., or I think it was also like New Jersey and Washington, right, suing Trump. That was what the initial lawsuits were filed. Was what's it called? Damn, I didn't take that many notes on this. Was Casa and Washington and New Jersey filed these lawsuits against Trump for the illegal action. Then Trump did an appeal, the administration, whatever, did an appeal based on like the stupid fucking injunction thing. And then that's because it was an appeal, that's the one that ended up going up to the Supreme Court. And that's what got discussed instead of the actual substance. The judge and appointee of President Bush said he would issue a written order later in the day. Oh, he hasn't even... I hate news stories. The lawsuit brought by the ACLU was filed just hours after the Supreme Court ruling last month. Testing would appear to be the only remaining practical and efficient way for district court judges to freeze the implementations of policies they found unlawful. The Supreme Court's decision on birthright citizenship did not address the core dispute surrounding constitutionality, but it paved the way for a majority of states to begin enforcing it. However, the court's majority said the executive order could not be carried out for 30 days, allowing time for the lawsuits to be filed. The ACLU's lawsuit proposed that all children born in the United States after February 20th and their parents constituted a class. They're trying to do this retroactively now. Interesting. I didn't realize that. I wonder if they're doing this like preemptively, like they're just in case the administration tries to retroactively take away the birthright citizenship. But that's really fucked if they start retroactively, like from when the initial executive order was implemented. That would be insane. I'm trying to think, how would that even be like? I feel like you get like a huge black market of children like changing their fucking like ages on their birth certificates and like forging documents so that they would be considered a citizen. And then that would be so complicated to even, I don't know. Interesting. For families across America today, birthright citizenship represents the promise that their children can achieve their full potential as Americans, the lawsuit said. It means children born here can dream of becoming doctors, lawyers, teachers, entrepreneurs, even president. Dreams that would be foreclosed if their citizenship status were stripped away based off their parents' status. True. Most countries have already solved their immigration problem with what is called citizenship by descent. Why would we do that in America? What? Find me the lawsuit. And rulings about it. Wow. I might just... I'm so scared of AI. I don't know if I trust this. It gives me sources. This one. What? Barbara. Is that the first or last name? Barbara versus Donald J. Trump. Immigration's rights advocates today filed a new nationwide class action lawsuit challenging the Trump administration's executive order restricting birthright citizenship. The lawsuit is in response to today's Supreme Court ruling. This new case was filed by ACLU of New Hampshire. That's the one that got through. Today's lawsuit charges the Trump administration with flouting the Constitution, congressional intent, and long-standing Supreme Court precedent, and is national in scope. Every court to have looked at this cruel order agrees that it is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court's decision did not remotely suggest otherwise. We are fighting to make sure that President Trump cannot trample on the citizenship rights of a single child. This executive order directly opposes our Constitution, values, and history, and it would create permanent, multi-generational subclass of people born in the U.S. who are denied full rights. No politician can ever decide who among those born in our country is worthy of citizenship, and we will fight. And we will keep fighting to ensure that every child born in the United States has their right to citizenship protected. Blah, 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 blah. Boom. The Democrats didn't lift a finger to fight it in the big, beautiful bill because it's not a fucking budget thing. You're talking about citizenship. Are you... What are you... Link me your Substack, dude, so I can rip into this. Birthright citizenship embodies America's most fundamental promise that all children born in our soil begin life as full and equal members of our national community, regardless of their parents' origins, status, or circumstances. What would these people say if they knew that half of our founding fathers weren't born in any of our founding fathers? Literally any of them, right? Fine. I'm just thinking of Hamilton in pain. Most of them were born in America. Whatever. I thought they were born in England. I'm not even going to sit here and lie. I thought that they were born in England, and I thought that there was more. I thought that Hamilton, Madison, and like the rest of them. I'm just thinking of like the musical, because they have that whole immigrants, we get the job done. So what happens when we win? I'll go back to France. I'll give freedom to my people if I'm given the chance. Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment provides that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are U.S. citizens. In United States v. Wong Kim Ark. Yeah, that's me. That's not me. I'm so proud of myself for remembering this name so well. It's precedent. I learned from the music though that Hamilton was born in an island that had a hurricane fuck his shit up. Yeah. But in that eye of the hurricane there's silence. Even through countless subsequent immigration debates and periods of intense anti-immigration sentiment, this core constitutional guarantee has protected generations of Americans and prevented the emergence of a hereditary underclass excluded from full participation in American life. no, this isn't this isn't legal. Okay. Flawed Constitution dictates statutory commands and longstanding Supreme Court justice precedent. Defendant President Donald Trump has issued this executive order for plaintiffs, children who will be denied citizenship under the order, and their parents, and for families across the country. This order seeks to strip away the priceless treasure of citizenship. Ooh, this is a new one. Fedorenko. Can you link your Substack? It's like a 3-minute read. Barb. I'm sorry, why did they It's just really funny to me that this is just Barbara. Plaintiff Barbara. Barbara. Barbara has an asylum application pending and has resided in the United States since 2024. Her husband, father of her child, is not a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident. Barbara fears that under the order, her child will be denied U.S. citizenship at birth. She fears her child will be unjustly denied the security, rights, and opportunities that come with U.S. citizenship, leaving their future in doubt. The plaintiff, Susan, is a citizen of Taiwan. She currently resides in Utah. Is this where they filed each of these cases? Oh no, this is them showing nationwide. She has lived in the United States for 12 years. She's currently in immigration status on a student visa and is in process of applying for lawful permanent residence based on an approved employment-based immigration visa. Her husband, father of her children, is not a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident. Susan gave birth to her fourth child, Sarah, in April. Oh no! In April 2025, she has 3 other children, all of whom are U.S. citizens. After more than 10 years of living in the U.S., she and her family have established strong ties to the community. She fears for the future of her child. She worries that her child will be subject to immigration enforcement. She is also fearful that her family may be separated, or that her U.S. children will be forced to move to a country to which they have never been, and where they do not speak the language. I like that they did all different countries. They should do a Russian one too. Sorry. Not that they can like pick and choose which plaintiffs are affected by this executive order, but it would be deliciously ironic if they picked someone who had an Einstein visa. Plaintiff Mark is a citizen of Brazil. Mark currently resides in Florida. He has lived in the United States for the past 5 years. He's in the process for applying for lawful permanent status based on family ties. His wife gave birth to their first child, Matthew. His wife does not have the lawful status in the United States. After 5 years of living in the U.S., Mark has established strong ties to the U.S. He fears for the future of his child. He worries that his child will be subject to immigration enforcement. What the fuck? This new bill will change U.S. citizenship. Big Beautiful Bill will try to shift U.S. citizenship requirements from citizenship by birth to what is called citizenship by descent. Good supervision aimed at restricting birthright citizenship. That will empower federal agents to deny or recognize citizenship status, likely forcing hospitals and school states to comply even before courts could rule. So to represent major legal and constitutional shift since we have the 14th Amendment. This is a constitutional right, not just a policy. To change it, you need a constitutional amendment. This bill will deny denies automatic U.S. citizenship to children born in the U.S. To non-citizen, interprets the 14th Amendment. Citizenship. This reflects a Trump-era policy goal. Is this legal? Current Christian national. Okay. Birthright. What are you talking about? Where in the bill is this mentioned? You're not talking about the executive order. You're saying this is part of the bill. What bill? What part of the bill? Who would be affected? Children born to undocumented tourists is such a bad example to include in here. It's actually very strange if we have specific, like, yeah, if you're just vacationing in America and you just happen to be pregnant, you just happen to give birth, like, that's actually going to get abused. What? I wonder if that's like a thing. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine. It's in the big beautiful bill that just passed. No shit. You're saying that like 14 times. Where in the bill? What does the bill state? Like what? This isn't referencing a you know what? I hate I'm only saying this because I literally did an outline of the entire fucking bill. Like, I literally went through and looked at all of the fucking subtitles and everything. What did you say specifically? Not a single fucking mention. What am I looking at? What am I looking for? I hate it here. Some analysts say this could affect hundreds of thousands of births annually. There are 150 other countries that have citizenship by descent already in place, and it simply solves the problem of what we call anchor babies. This is known as birth tourism. This allows the children, often referred to as anchor babies, to sponsor their parents and relatives for green cards in the future. The US has 4.4 to 5.8 million anchor babies. Each year, around 225,000 to 250,000 babies are born to undocumented immigrants. If I have a pimple on my face and I just like shoot myself, that wouldn't be like a logical, like, you know, yeah, the pimple's gone, but that was a bit much, right? If this is happening so bad, then why don't you not allow babies to be able to sponsor their parents or relatives? Why don't you just take away that provision? Why don't we just work on that system? The US is constitutionally locked into birthright citizenship. An interesting fact is that the UK ended... Here is a link to... What is this link gonna be when I click on it? A tweet. There's other figures born in the US. The other three groups rely on American community service. An interesting fact is that the UK ended their automatic birthright citizenship in 1983, switching to citizenship by descent by passing ordinary legislation, since they do not have a constitution protecting this right like we do, which means changing this would likely... Okay, say it one more time. Say it one more time. The real downside to this is that it'll create an even more backlog of court cases when the court's already backed up with immigration proceedings. But if the Supreme Court does make this change happen, then the 14th Amendment will be on its way out when the bill passes in a few days. In my opinion, I am for it because it will help average men have more families when women from other countries know that they must have children with men or actually, hang on. You're not in here. I know that this is the first time that you've ever had a woman look at you before. So you must be very excited. The reason why women don't want men in the US is because they're fucking retarded. And you are just the perfect example of that. Is this AI generated? Am I being like psyoped right now? A year ago. The true plague of single men. If there's one thing I can sympathize with this man trying to rob the convenience store in this comedy bit, it's that we seem to have a major boyfriend problem in the United States. With social media and cell phones, women here in America live in a constant state of abundance when it comes to men. Even average women have the same access to men through technological advances. And they too seem to have a boyfriend or even a roster of men that they can choose from at any given moment. Women saying they already have a boyfriend is the true plague of single men. I try to approach at least one woman per month. I try to approach at least one woman per month and they all give me the very same answer every time. I have a boyfriend. You know what? They're probably fucking lying because the only way that you get a man to leave you alone is by saying, I have a boyfriend. If you say I'm not interested, they're gonna try and make you interested. If you say that you only like women, most of the time they're into that and they're gonna want to join. The only way that you can get them to back off is with another man because they don't respect women. So, oh, I have a boyfriend. Bam, immediate, my bad, bro, my bad. You'll never know if she was lying or not. Since she is, 100% is. If she's talking to you, she is. She's probably single. And she's probably really horny too. You're probably smelling really fucking bad because you never leave the fucking house or shower. Or leave your red. This comedy bit has me cackling up in the first time I saw it because I could definitely relate to it. As I wrote in the previous Substack, the dating game changed for everyone back in 2010. There was a smartphone and a website called Instagram. Instagram is the #1 dating site on the internet, and why is that? Because of something called a DM. What is a DM? It stands for direct message. Instagram allows women to amplify her hypergamous nature by giving her a way to advertise her singleness to the global dating market of men 24 hours. What the fuck? Women post on Instagram solely to amplify their how the fuck do you pronounce this? I'm assuming this is the opposite of monogamous, right? Hypergamous. Notice how most women just have pictures of themselves on their site. They're actually never single. They're advertising for new men to DM them just by existing. Anytime that you see a woman, she's actually only doing it for you. She's actually only thinking about you, and she's actually only doing it for you. If she's walking down the street in a short skirt, you actually probably think that you have the right to fucking grab her ass, don't you, just because she's walking by? What the fuck kind of logic? Oh my god. Let's watch this get.
Money in the bag, now!
Seriously?
Yes, seriously.
I have a boyfriend.
not what I asked. Put the money in the bag.
I get it. You saw me. You were too nervous to talk to me, so you went home to grab a mask so you could talk to me. But regardless, I have a boyfriend.
Do I look nervous to you? I don't care if you have a boyfriend. Put the money in the bag or I'll shoot.
Shoot what? Shoot your shot?
No, I'll shoot the gun that's in my hand.
Ugh, that's pathetic.
What are you doing? Put your hands up!
Oh, what? You want me to put my hands up so I can submit to you? Newsflash, bucko. I only submit to my boyfriend, okay? I have a boyfriend.
You know what? Don't put your hands up. Just open up the register.
Hey, girl! Oh my gosh, how was Coachella?
Honestly, so lame this year.
Really?
There's like nobody.
Nothing could have fucking prepared me for how unself-aware this, like, there's no way. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. You're saying that you relate to this guy because women say that they have, because the one woman among oh my god, there's actually no fucking way! There's actually no fucking way! You're relating to this,
See, honestly.
Ew, gross.
That's it right there. Give it to me.
Excuse me, give you what? She has a boyfriend.
Yeah.
Give me the money.
Oh, he's such a broke Joe.
I know, right? He's been in here all night.
Can you just please tell her to give me the money? That's all I'm asking.
Excuse me, I have a boyfriend.
Ugh. Thank you.
All right, girl, I'll see you soon, okay?
Bye, girl. Let me know if you're going out later, okay?
Look, in no way am I trying to hit on you. Just please, just put the money in the bag and I'll be out of your way. You'll never see me again.
Oh, so now you're playing hard to get, huh? Just like every other guy? Yeah? You want me to chase after you, don't you? Yeah. I have a boyfriend.
Come out with your hands up. We got you surrounded.
I'm screwed.
Wow. Okay, so you got your friends to dress up like cops too and play along with this, huh? Yeah? Oh, okay, I'm with him, everybody. Should I put my hands up? Yeah? You want me to play along?
What do I do?
I'll put my hands up, I'll play along, okay? Woo! Look at us, we're robbing a store, everybody. You and me, we're Bonnie and Clyde, yeah? All right, give me this. Woo! Okay. Oh, look, everybody, I have a gun. All right.
Keep your hands where I can see them.
Don't touch me.
Damn, she's dumb.
Don't move.
I have a boyfriend, okay?
Tell it to the judge.
What is this hypergamous nature of women? Hypergamy is the practice of a person marrying a spouse of a higher social status. Women always look for men with higher social... Oh, so you know why you're single. The fuck? Men can date up or down. But women can only date up. I tried explaining this to two women. To two women. Do you... There's no way this is real. There's no way you're American. Actually, no, you probably are so retarded you could only be American. Why? You're one... I try to approach at least one woman. And I tried explaining this to two women. Oh my god. Toledo. Of course you're from Ohio. Of course you're from Ohio. She claimed, but I've dated down in the majority of men that I dated. She did not agree with me at all on this subject. I explained to her that there was something in the men she dated that satisfied her hypergamy. Even when you're dating down, you're actually not dating down. You're actually still dating up. You're actually still dating up. You just don't know it yet. Every time that you see a beautiful woman with her ugly ass, ugly fucking boyfriend, because the bare minimum gets praised and applauded so often nowadays, and you just have to be literally not whatever the fuck this is. To get, it's so much more common to see pretty women with ugly men too, because men don't have the capability of being attracted to things that are not sexual. As like a general statement. But this guy would claim that she's in it for his money. And then he would take his girlfriend's checks and deposit them, and then do the broke boyfriend hug behind her when they go out shopping. Of course I only get this honest with women I'm not attracted to. Oh my god. I will go months without seeing a woman that doesn't weigh more than a man here. But that's not my reality. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow. This is literally bro. Oh my goodness. What was his dating issue before that? What was his Substack? Never date single mothers. Where are all the men?
So I'm out having dinner with my girl, and I want y'all to just notice something. There's women, all eating there. Women, all eating there. Women. And let's not forget right there too, because they're everywhere. Oh my god. I don't normally go out, but when I do, I go out with my girls, and I am seeing something, a trend. Girls are all going out with their girlfriends. There's not like one date in the
Want to know how this trend started? It's because today's modern women were brought up thinking they no longer need men. This detrimental ideology was pushed down to the children of baby boomers who taught their daughters that men were no longer needed, or even worse, not to be trusted. So what did men do? We took the goddamn hint. Now you get to see things like this, where men are no longer wasting their time, their money or time with women who don't want to be with them. Are you fucking delusional? You saw this video and you thought to yourself, wow, look at all those women. Look at all those poor women who are suffering because their men don't want to waste time hanging out with them and spending money on them. That's what you took away from this. I'm spitting. That's what you took away from this fucking video? What level of actual, like, delusional fucking reality do you live in for that to be your takeaway from this video? And not that girls don't fucking like hanging out with guys because they suck and they talk like this. There's no fucking way. There's nowhere in this fucking video where men even where it was negative. She was so happy. She was so excited. Everyone's going out with their girlfriends. Now you get to see things like this where men are no longer wasting their time or money. Yeah, you don't want me. I don't even fucking want to spend time or fucking money on you anyways. You realize this is like a literal fucking thing that is going on in the United States right now? Where women literally don't want to talk to men, don't want to have sex with men, don't want to marry men, don't want to date men. And it's not because they're gay. It's just because they don't want men. It's a statement. We're not going to engage with men until the men behave better. For the record, men don't like women who act masculine or display masculine qualities. They're a huge turnoff, since most heterosexual women like feminine. Back in the 1970s, about 70% of US adults were married. How many of them were happy? Here's a great example as to why marriage no longer works for men.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with modern marriage from a man's perspective, as far as I'm concerned. Most of the marriages I know, okay, the man provides financially, he protects, right? He, you know, he's also there to be part of the family dynamic, taking care of kids, doing the things that he can do. What does the woman bring? She brings love, affection, a little bit of sweetness at the end of the day, you know, sex. She brings, you know, taking care of kids. Okay, if you get divorced, every single thing on that side of the man equation, he can be compelled to do by the power of the state, and if he fails to do it, they can put him in jail. Nothing on that other side, the female side, is enforceable at law. The court cannot order her to be nice to you, to fuck you, to be a wonderful mother to your children. She can't. They can't force that. So when you have a contract where only one side of it is enforceable with the power of the state and the other side is not, my attitude is, why don't we then just have an honest conversation about what we could both be afraid of and what value we want to attribute. But the court can't.
I don't even have words. I don't even have words. I don't even have words. I can't believe that this is the point that we are at in society, where people think that it's okay to make Substacks and write about this shit, knowing that they have fucking autism. And sorry, I'm so sorry, that was so offensive. Knowing that they are actually so intellectually disabled that their brain literally does not have a single fucking wrinkle on it. Not a single one. It's so smooth. How do you... How do... What is a relationship supposed to be? Two people who care about each other and love each other, right? And are there to help each other grow as individuals together. And they trust each other, and they're, generally speaking, always gonna want the best for the other person. Right? That's what a relationship is, okay? What is a marriage? These people would say that it's God blessing your relationship. It's God approving the matrimony, the bond, the right, the coming together of Adam and Eve again and whatever, right? That's what they would say marriage is. Marriage is they value marriage so much. That's why gay people can't have it, because then what if we just start marrying horses, right? For you to look at a marriage, which is just a documented stamp of approval by the government and God for your relationship, and you think to yourself, it is the case that women are doing something that is invaluable to put on paper. They're doing something for you, for the relationship, for the family that is so valuable that that you can't just be compelled to give it. Right? The man is so replaceable, so not even fucking there that the state can step in and just do it for them. You look at that dynamic, and you don't think to yourself, maybe there's an imbalance here in what each partner is bringing to the relationship. Maybe there's a lack in equal partnership, right? No, you think to yourself, why the fuck can't the state and God make my wife fuck me after we get divorced? Why can't she still love me after we get divorced? Not maybe I should love her so that we don't get a fucking divorce? Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like, I thought that this shit, I'm not even gonna sit here and lie. Like, I thought that this shit only existed in my life. I didn't realize that men were actually, like, widespread. Oh my god, I've never experienced anyone outside of very hyper-specific, very with such a delusional grasp on reality. Like, it's, oh my god, I thought it was just my stepdad. What the fuck? Jesus Christ. I'm tweaking. This is partially why I get so fucking triggered when people talk about how Dempsey needs to message better to men, because they're turning out to be like this. We need government to pussy. Oh my goodness. I will steel man this by saying it sounds more to me like he wants the male side to not be enforced. No. You're giving way too much goodwill.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with modern marriage from a compelled to do by the power of the state, and if he fails to do it, they can put him in jail. Nothing on that other side, the female side, is enforceable at law. The court cannot order her to be nice to you, to fuck you, to be a wonderful mother to your children. She can't. They can't force that. So when you have a contract where only one side of it is enforceable with the power of the state and the other side is not, my attitude is, why don't we then just have an honest conversation about what we could both be afraid of and what value we want to attribute. But the court can't.
He literally, no. If he wanted it to be, oh, no side gets enforced, then he would have said, if you have a contract where only one side is getting enforced, then maybe we should have maybe like the contract should be no sides. He didn't continue on to say that. He said we should have an honest conversation about what we're afraid of. AKA me not being able to force my ex-wife to fuck me. Like, oh my god, that pussy was so good. That's the only reason why I married her, bro. I felt that I was getting that shit for life. What the fuck? Yo!
So the mainstream media is angry at me because I want you guys to be thin and fertile, and the fact that I like pop culture, and I am not apologizing for any of it. Epstein may or may not have killed himself, and Carnival Cruises have decided that they no longer want to be the Spirit Airlines of the sea. Let's get into it. So in keeping with all of the personal updates, I really have nothing to share in regards to the animals and my mom's move. Everything has been relatively calm. We have not had any Alex and sheep chases at 3 a.m. for the last week, which has been great. I definitely have popped more in the last week, so it literally looks like I have swallowed a basketball. Like, I am perfectly round everywhere. Like, I'm just like waddling around like a little like bowling ball human being, so that has been very fun. We are doing 2 shows in Nashville over the next month because I don't want to get on a plane and—
She's pregnant.
What, you're so angry that I want young women to be thin and fertile? Like, I'm sorry, that's hot. That's just like objectively a good thing. Who would not want to be thin and fertile? Like, that's healthy. That's amazing. Like, you guys hate us so much. You hate my values and the way I vote and who I am so much that you would rather die on the hill of being fat and infertile. Like, that's really how you want to go down. Like, I'm so glad that you put that all out there. I'm so glad that you were saying the quiet part out loud. But guys, the articles did not stop there because more and more keep coming out with the same sentiment. Because here's another one that came out recently that is also from The Guardian. Apparently The Guardian got their talking points this spring, but this headline reads, "Woman's fear is the latest cultural propaganda assault on young womanhood. Will it work?" And then most recently, just 2 weeks ago, this one was from CNN, how a new wave of conservative influencers and magazines is courting young women with lifestyle and celebrity content. Oh no, guys, the propaganda assault. We're courting you all with lifestyle and celebrity content. Now, the thing that cracked—
Hey, I think that this is like supposed to be. Hang on, I'm speaking so out my ass because I don't know what the fuck she's referencing right now with all of like the thin and fertile and as opposed to fat and infertile, but like the fertile thing is that like a fucking is that like an anti-vax like fucking they're making the children, is that like that conspiracy, is that being mainstream now, like the like where the medicine is making all of the children anti-fertile and the MMR is making them anti-fertile and they're lowering the birth rate, like is that part of the great replacement now, that's now part of mainstream just fucking discourse? Why are we emphasizing like fertile and skinny versus infertile and fat? She means the culture war lack of fertility. Okay, what is the culture war lack of fertility? Like, anti-trans. Yeah, anti-trans. Yeah, anti-trans. Definitely. I'm trying to think. Because also, I'm trying to think right now because I know that it's like a right wing, and I know this from my family. So this is anecdotal, so take it with a grain of salt. But there's a lot of like big pharma shit with birth control. Like any time that any girl has any type of like fucking any symptom, like you put them on birth control, and birth control like fucks up your hormones a lot. And it, like, I don't know statistics, but it is talked about as though it is such a risk to go on birth control, because you are so flipping a coin on whether or not you're ever going to be able to come off if you have a bad side effect, or if you end up like gaining a fuck ton of weight, or getting a fuck ton of acne, or like getting all of your hair falling out, or end up like fucking up your hormones permanently and shit. Like it's like a thing, right? Okay, that sentiment culturally on top of like legislatively the fact that we're going after like Plan B and like contraceptives because of the Planned Parenthood case. What was the court case that went through that allowed states to just start? It wasn't Dobbs. There was one after that let states ruled like specifically on like contraceptives with the abortion medicine, but like stuff like that, like that would be concerning, right?
Cracks me up about all of these pieces is that they are so appalled by the fact that me and other content creators like myself, that we talk about things other than politics. Like, we talk about things that relate to pop culture and celebrity and lifestyle and health, whatever it is, like whatever interests us, we talk about. But the fact
I'm upset that you fucking do that shit when everything is going on in the world. How dare you talk about Taylor Swift when there's a genocide going on?
people like me would identify as being conservative makes it so appalling that we would step outside of our lane when literally that is what they have been doing for years. And what is hilarious in that CNN article is that they interviewed a bunch of women at the top of the piece who were interacting with EV magazine content on social media. So they would say like, oh, you know, I agreed with their take on X, Y, and Z, and I thought that they had a funny post about this celebrity thing, and then I looked at their page and I was horrified because I saw Trump, I saw right-wing content, and I could not believe that this was on my algorithm. I could not believe that I had been bamboozled by these right-wing content creators. They literally said, I found what they posted to be hateful and trying to trick people into reading their views. Okay, God forbid you have to interact with something that maybe is not perfectly aligned with your worldview. Like, EV Magazine is not trying to trick you. Sorry, their content actually is not all about you. It's for their readers.
I don't know if this is like super true in fact, but I heard that that's so suspicious. I feel like I read it somewhere. Sources trust bro, that like people don't even, because I debate a lot if I want to do like fake culture stuff to like trick people into getting into politics, right? Like as like an adjacent thing. But I don't think that it works. I don't think that people like being tricked into talking about politics right now. I think that people are naturally I feel like there's enough natural demand for just like knowing more about politics that you don't need to trick people into it. Like if you look at these like clickbaits, if you don't know that she's like a past like if you don't know that she like was on the Daily Wire and was on like all these like Ben Shapiro like shit, if you don't know any of her history and you just see this, it's like JoJo Siwa is straight again. Whoa. And then it's like Pride Month is dead and Blake Lively admits defeat. The feminists have turned against Sabrina Carpenter. Married man proposes to AI girlfriend and a miracle baby. Like, these are not political titles, right? And then you click on it.
Shocker! The man who made his entire career.
It's like the first segment. This is. Fuck, is this gonna.
Five people around the world. Because she was not the only person trying to bring a built-in social community where you can connect entire existence pretending to are black people.
Referencing Breitbart is crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Like this, like
guys, the
story about Justin Bieber. I guess this is not like the best example of what I mean, because she's not even trying to do politics. Like she completely fucking gave up, I guess. Like I'm thinking of like when they start doing, I think she does it with the JoJo Siwa thing. Hang on, because I remember watching this back.
She just needed to find
the way that she portrayed. Oh, there we go. It like JoJo Siwa, and then the first segment is literally about like Tim Walz and talking about like just like Tim Walz and his campaign. And then she switches to this, which is literally like fucking.
I don't understand what I'm seeing. At about 5 minutes, the sexual content starts.
What the fuck? And then the JoJo Siwa isn't until the very end. After she talks about Macron, like after like French official. Oh, this is when he got slapped. Like. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think like what. I think that this works so hyper specifically with people on the right with this thing, with this like type of like content, is because they are so intentionally like uninformed. Selectively informed. They're not uninformed. They're not misinformed. Sorry, they're not uninformed or like or unengaged because they're hyper engaged. They have a lot of information. It's just wrong and biased and warped and all feeding into this ideological narrative. And that plays into it with like all of like the culture, because it's so unserious. And it's such a joke, right? I don't think that this works with people on the left though, because there is a natural like split. First of all, obviously, because we are smarter. Objectively, that is a fact, okay? But also, I think that Donald Trump really put this divide, like really solidified it, that like the right is the conspiracy theorist and the left is like really establishment and like really cucked out for all of the stats and all the facts. This isn't gonna work with anyone on the left because they're just gonna roll their eyes and be like, why the fuck are we talking about like Taylor Swift and fucking Blake Lively when there's a genocide going on? Like, because that's my thoughts when I see this shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what? You literally got so famous for talking about politics, spreading your politics. Now that your boy is in office and turning everything to shit, you're just talking about fucking Blake Lively? Fuck you. Like, anyways, yeah, I think that people on the left, it comes across as like disingenuine. I don't know. I saw like this one, I forgot what the name is, and I don't want to be too mean, but I saw like this one like DNC, it looked like a DNC shill account. of like this guy trying to I am working today at 4, so I got like an hour. I'll hop on voice call. Called the DNC shills for content baiting. No, I don't want to give any more attention to that. But yeah, like I don't know. There's like I don't know. Yeah. I saw like this one, like it looked like this DNC shill account, and it was like this guy with his little like Joe Rogan setup, and people making fun of it, like this is the new Joe Rogan of the left. And it just was like the most fucking cucked out, like, oh my god, we can't be so soy. That's it. Hard to have reactions to your opinions here because I'm not sure what your intentions are. Not to be a DNC shill. I'll tell you that much. I think my goal with you do need to, yeah, I think that everything has its own place. I think that the DNC shills are just as necessary as the rage baity TikTok debate bros, and they're just as necessary as all the brain dead fucking like soy cucked out TikToks that I get all the time. I think they're all just as important as each other, in their own special way. Just not for me. What would work on you? Answer that question and we've done great work. I don't know. What do you mean what would work on me? I watch like a lot of long form content. Like I don't really watch these like short like quick like 10-15 minute type stuff. I also think that I think that I have like this so the attitude that I had and that I continue to have, and maybe it's a good or bad thing, I don't know, to be determined, about like doing this is I started doing this like as a hobby. I was just like for the funsies, just like keeping track on politics every single day, and I had like this whole like post-it like wall in college set up where I would just take notes on everything. Then I started doing it for class, and then I started like I just also separately from that made TikToks every day. And I just started making TikToks about all of the politics stuff that I was making every day, and then it just became like an outward like presentation of this hobby that I was already doing. But because it's like this like kind of fun, like I'm doing it because I like it's a hobby. I think that more people need hobbies. It's a hobby. I like doing research as a hobby. I like doing like data analysis and like reading through shit and like learning things as a hobby. I love like learning new things. So politics is like this constant stream of like information that also, it's like new information that also leads to like foundational information. So like I can go down this rabbit hole like learning about all of these random fucking things from whatever story just got popped up in like the first I don't know, whatever, like on my first Instagram feed of the day, or on my first like I don't use any curating news, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so all that to say, I think I do way too much like I think oof, how do I say this? I don't think I'm worrying as much as I should be about persuading people that are watching me, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like because I'm doing this, like, because I have like the attitude or like the mindset or the habit of just doing this for funsies and just like as a hobby, I'm not like, I don't actively think about like what's gonna make the most what's gonna persuade the most voters. It's kind of just like I'm learning all of this and I'm having fun, and I think that other people would enjoy, and it seems like they do. And then like that I'm thinking more about like my live streams right now, because that's what I've been doing primarily. But even with the videos, I saw the videos as like fun, like little projects. I honestly don't take them like super, probably as seriously as I should, because it's like not like like I see it as a hobby, but then there's people that probably watch it and are like, this is like their source of information, which is so bad, and I don't think that anyone should be doing that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm word salading.
Turning now to the United States, President Trump's sweeping domestic policy bill is signed into law. Millions of people on Medicaid are set to lose their health insurance. Michelle Martin speaks with the governor of Kentucky about the real-life effect this could have on rural communities like his own.
Thanks, Christian. Governor Beshear, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thanks for having me on.
So you let's just go right to it. You called the president.
He's such an American boy.
So much for speaking with us, which he and his Republican allies have called the One Big Beautiful Bill, the worst legislation you've seen in your lifetime. As briefly as you can, tell us why.
This is the most destructive bill I've seen in my lifetime. In Kentucky, it's going to kick 200,000 people off their health care coverage. That's going to include kids and seniors. It's going to include people who need cancer treatment and who will lose their lives without that coverage. On top of that, it's going to fire 20,000 healthcare workers from all around Kentucky, and it may shutter up to 35 rural hospitals. So whether you're on private insurance or on Medicaid, if you are a rural American, you're going to have to drive hours just to see a doctor. And then what it does to our rural economies is going to be incredibly painful, because if you remove hundreds of doctors and nurses and orderlies from that rural hospital that's typically the second largest employer in that community, everybody feels the pain. The coffee shop, the restaurant, the bank. I mean, this is a direct attack on rural America that's going to make it so much harder for struggling Americans to get by.
Let's just talk about the patients themselves. One of the arguments for this bill that its supporters keep insisting on is that it will shore up the finances of Medicaid in particular, so that in particular children, in particular people who are the most vulnerable, people who are disabled, that it'll stabilize the finances of Medicaid so that these people in particular will continue to get care. You're saying that that's just not true.
It's not, because if it was, they would have exempted them from large parts of the bill. The way they're going to get their quote-unquote savings is by increasing the level of paperwork, making you prove your eligibility multiple extra times when there are already so many checks in there. And so what happens when a family has a child with a severe disability that is covered by Medicaid, doesn't check a certain box once or twice a year, that family could lose coverage for up to 6 months. It is mean, it is cruel. Think about that senior, because 70% of our long-term care costs in Kentucky are covered by Medicaid.
Wait, and it also, there was also all of these provisions in the bill that made it where like it reclassified different, they did it with like social security numbers, where it reclassified an incorrect social security number mistake, instead of it having to go through like an auditing process where you send it back to the person who filed it and said, hey, like you misfiled this, like you have a chance to fix it, can you fix it? They made it so you could just like fast track, like reject. So making it so that everyone has to do a fuck ton more paperwork, right? You're adding more paperwork. You're firing people in the fucking social services, and you're closing offices down, and you're ending the phone lines. So you're making it so that there's a smaller supply of people that are able to deal with all of this paperwork that is now additionally being filed. So now you're adding to the time that it's going to take for all of this shit to get done, and for all of this all of these applications to go through, right? On top of that, once the application is accepted and is filed, if there is one thing out of line, without notice, you are allowed to just reject any application that you see fit for a clerical error that doesn't get audited or fucking verified or like checked.
Senior who is already getting significant care, whose family probably has to fill out those forms. If it's not done right, that person loses that long-term care coverage. And so that family has to take them back into their home, try to cover those expenses, which is likely impossible, probably can't go to work because of the full-time help that's needed. This is the damage it's going to cause to people's life, and they're going to know exactly who did it to them. President Trump and the congressional Republicans.
Talk a little bit, if you would, about the impact on rural hospitals and the financing and why you're so convinced that it will have such a devastating effect on rural hospitals in particular. Because again, the administration and their allies say that there's a fund specifically set up to support rural hospitals. So tell us why you say that you think this many hospitals will close and why it will have such a severe impact.
The way I know that rural hospitals are going to get hit hard and many are going to have to close is that they are not only telling me, they're telling the country. The Kentucky Hospital Association is a pretty conservative group, but they have been out with these projections saying, please do not do this to one of the fastest growing sectors of the economy. And they've been very clear about the numbers. This is over $1 trillion cut to the healthcare industry. That's $1 trillion of revenue that supports these rural hospitals. And there is a $50 billion fund to help rural hospitals. The reason it won't work is math. It is grossly insufficient. And when you look at rural hospitals,
I wish that more people would explain things like this. The reason why it won't work is because of basic fucking math. Okay, do the math. Think. Let's think. It's so cute. Alright. I'm hanging out in live already, so just join whenever you want, Hunter.
hospitals, the reason they get hit more is that there is a larger Medicaid population than others, and there are fewer people that may be traveling to them. But what it means is you're going to have to drive hours just to see your family practitioner. You're not going to have the same specialties. Think about OBGYNs. 40% of all births in Kentucky are covered by Medicaid, and that's an area that hospitals struggle on the finances. What you're going to see is in rural America, having to drive hours just to get to a big city to even give birth. It's going to have massive implications.
This is why we need high-speed. This is why we need the big highway lobbyists to stop destroying our train infrastructure to build a high-speed rail.
For our country and for urban America too. But just, I mean, this is a punch in the face of rural America and my state.
Governor, your congressional delegation is weighted toward Republicans. Your delegation was kind of split. Your senators split.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
What's up?
Okay, so I have my notepad pulled out. I also have it on my iPhone, so I don't know why I specified iPhone, but my phone, my cellular.
My cellular network device.
Yes, exactly. So I think there's always been these conversations around rhetoric and how to deliver more politically effective messaging. I just haven't really thought much about it because I would always hear people. I don't know if Destiny has said this. I know Wick has. I know Pisco has. I know. I think a lot of the maybe like Lucas Beasley.
Lucas,
no, Luke
wow,
Beasley.
The full government.
Yeah. Yeah, we're on a full government name basis here. It's getting kind of. Yeah. No, but I always hear people say, like, you don't want to be like MAGA, or you don't want to act like MAGA, or you don't want to stoop down to their level. And I would always hear that, and the thoughts would just disappear because it's like, oh yeah, I don't want to be like MAGA. Why would we do that? But I think there's an important distinction that's never really being made, or that I haven't noticed being made, and I haven't thought about it until, or more in depth until I was talking with Wick yesterday, because he he had a panel about the big beautiful bill, and at the end, he was talking about the Destiny tweet and how we shouldn't do that because it's politically ineffective. It gives ammo to the right. It gives ammo to MAGA. They can point at us and say, look, the Dems are fucking crazy. They're disgusting. Like, this is the type of rhetoric that they deploy and blah, blah, blah. But I think we should probably suck it up and not let that. You can easily build off of it, in my opinion. So I'm trying to... Again, I haven't... These are just jotted down notes. I'm going to probably write something up and format it a little bit nicer, so it follows cleaner. But I think you would agree that regardless of what Dems do, like, we get punished for it, basically. If we kind of argue, or if we fight back, or if we are a little too mean, or if we don't act fast enough, or Democrats anyways. And it's usually blamed on Democrats from MAGA directly, the influencers, the politicians, etc., and then it feeds down into the culture, which is incredibly frustrating because you're not only taking on, when I say you're not only taking on, it's like the Democrat politicians, you're not only taking on other politicians, you're also taking on the culture that now believes that we have a huge immigration problem that is killing and raping all of our little white girls, that FEMA is withholding aid from Trump households, and that they are just intentionally letting them die by the Jewish Democrat weather machines. That Epstein has this huge conspiracy, and that if we truly believe that there was a huge pedo trafficking ring, that we would have our prominent Democratic politicians like speaking out against it, but they're not speaking out against it because they're actually pedophiles too, and blah blah blah. And they're able to like control this huge narrative, and it's like that's like crazy shit, but it's like it's unironically the narrative that's used, and it's unfortunately very politically effective. And that's why you see that I don't know if you've seen the screenshot where it's like Charlie Kirk, Jack Dipshit, and then someone else, and they have like the exact same copy paste tweet.
Oh yeah, the copy pasta about the immigrants in third world countries.
I think so, yeah. And it's like nowhere. I'm not saying to do that exactly, but they're so lockstep with everything that they do. Whereas the messaging is just super scattered and people just arguing with each other. And it's not even like progressives versus Democrats that are arguing within those groups. It's also Democrats versus Democrats, which is incredibly frustrating, because then you kind of get bogged down with like the tone policing, and it's like, oh, well, it gives them ammo if you look unhinged, or if you say like a thing too soon after a tragedy and blah, blah, blah. But also it kind of gives them ammo whenever you are criticizing yourselves unnecessarily, and it fucks with your political capital.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
When Charlie Kirk saw the Unfuck America tour implode on themselves, and he made that video right after, he's like, these guys are so fucking soy that they can't even organize.
Yeah.
Like, how bad does that look?
He was so right. No, that was like such a good read.
Yeah, and it's like that also applies to people like Wick, no offense, where they're endlessly hand-wringing about how this is a bad look for us and it's just ammo for them. And it's like the thing that you're doing is just as much ammo for them as what you claim Destiny's tweet is doing. And I'm not saying you have to co-sign that sort of rhetoric or use that sort of rhetoric, but at least use it as like a launching point. Like, there are underlying facts that are agreed upon within the Democratic community that tweet kind of speaks to, about the removal of FEMA aid, or the spreading of propaganda to the point where normal average citizens that are on the city council boards and everything believe that FEMA is coming to take their houses if they accept any sort of aid whatsoever from the federal government. And it just completely fucks their communities up. It has these real world outcomes. And it's like it plays in reality, and we have no ability to take advantage of that whatsoever. Sorry, I'm trying to read this other stuff that I
No, you're
have
good.
written down.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about the rhetoric about this Texas thing because there's like this huge split of people, which I don't even understand it, but there is like that split of people that are like, even if the voters voted for this, like you don't have to rub it in their face right now, or like, you know, remember that, like I saw a tweet that was like, or a blue sky or blue ski that was like, remember that Texas has the most absolute number of Democrats in Texas. So like when you're saying like, oh, like they deserved it in Texas, like remember that Texas has like the most number of Democrats out of any state. And I don't know, I feel like that seems like it's very Trumpian, like Trump literally like having to get reminded that Republicans live in California for him to give them disaster aid.
Yeah, it exactly is.
Yeah, but I definitely so I don't agree with like the I can see how like the blanket rhetoric could be like offensive and like alienating just by saying like, oh, everyone in Texas deserves to get fucking deserves to get like fucking flooded. But at the same time, it's like if you could snipe every Republican and make it so that it was only Republicans in Texas that did vote and that are getting the repercussions of their vote, like there's nothing wrong with that. But then there are soy Democrats that are like, no, because you're alienating this voter base, and we have to be open to like persuasion, and like it's bad taste and it's not the right time. It's so horridly like naive. Like this is the same side that like we're talking about the same people who like not even a year ago, like if for Hurricane Helene were literally spreading so much misinformation that you had instances where like people in North Carolina were getting like their power cut out, no food aid sent to their house because they refused the FEMA delivery because they thought that FEMA was gonna steal their fucking money and break into their house and never like, I don't know, rape all their kids or something with like the brown people. Like it's so disingenuous for I feel like it's like really like short-sighted for people to think that like voters actually care about this shit. Like, are we being serious? Like, I don't think voters care. I don't think that I feel like we can see that they don't care.
Yeah, let me put that down. I didn't, because that's kind of like another thought that kind of ties in. I don't think voters can. Yeah, I don't know how many times you hear that this is like an influencer economy, and the reason why Trump kind of gets away with so much fuck shit is because, I mean, that's the goal of the flood the gate kind of recommendation for the approach to media, is that if there's so much shit, it'll dissuade people from wanting to participate, for one. But also they have a goldfish's memory where if they're not talking about it for long enough, then they just completely forget about it or don't care about it. And that's kind of like one of the big things with like the January 6th stuff, is like, regardless of how fucking horrible that is, like now nobody gives a shit because so much time has passed and so much has been like talked about with it. So it's just like an incredible amount. So I don't understand why that logic can't really be applied to the Democrat side as well. Like, I don't know how many times you see MAGA talking shit about not even Democrat voters. It's just people in general. Like, it's even people that vote for them that they're completely fucking over and talking shit about, and they face no repercussions for it. So what is the punishment that Democrats would have to face for that, or why do they have to face any punishment whatsoever? It's a horrible double standard, for one, but it's a double standard that isn't acted upon, and it's a misidentified double standard where people say that we don't want to act like MAGA, but what they're really referring to is by being edgy or being mean. Whereas when I think of MAGA, it's like it's like regardless of the principles that are stated, as long as it falls behind the top-down messaging and the rhetoric plus the actions that are done, that is what I believe the like MAGA to mean when people say we don't want to act like them. Because I don't think it's acting like MAGA if we're saying or doing provocative shit that's sometimes edgy or offensive, but then using that to gain political capital or political will, and use that to enact policies and actual legislation that are beneficial to the people that we even disagree with. Yeah, like I don't know, what was it, the fucking hurricanes, like you mentioned, where they're talking about how it's like this huge conspiracy, or how it's actually Kamala Harris's husband that was in on it because he had some like gold mine or some shit, or some sort of like mine operation that he is
While
personally invested
Republican
in and
Congressman
is going to like receive benefits or money from or whatever, because the federal government is going to take that land and then give that money to, what's his name, Doug? Like,
Yeah,
what a fucking
Dougie Fresh.
dude! If your name is Doug, and if your land is being stolen by a man named Doug, then you probably fucking deserve it. I don't like, that's so, what a disgusting fucking name. No offense,
Doug.
Love you, Doug. But yeah, like that was one of the thoughts I think that I had. Where is it? Oh, this wasn't as edgy or offensive, but like the only time that I've ever seen MAGA kind of like on the back step was when Tim Walz was calling them weird. And even then they were still like virtue signaling about how mean it is and how rude it is and inappropriate that he's saying this and blah, blah, blah. Or how Elon was crying about Walz's statements about the Tesla stock.
Yeah, what was the maybe I'm just being like super fucking contrarian for everything, like, but I feel like I hear this like weird thing get over amplified. I don't think that it was like that successful. Like we did it for like maybe like a week and a half, and then
and then stopped.
Yeah, and then that's it, and then it stopped being. Now like I don't think that it actually like. It was just like funny because I think that was the first. I think like the more significant moment in that was that was like the first time that you heard a politician kind of acknowledging what every average American was feeling in a way that was just so like blatantly like obvious. Like that's what Trump does. He just he like hones in on what people are feeling. Obviously like bigoted, whatever, like, oh yeah, I lock my doors whenever I see a black person. Like he hones in on that and he's like, well actually crime is going up in all of the black neighborhoods, so and then everyone is like, yay, cheers. Like I think that's just what Tim Walz did, except for our side. Like that would be like the thing to focus on, rather than just like the I don't know, like the edginess of like weird, right?
Yeah, so I think that kind of speaks to the thing that I'm trying to get at, where it's, for one, it's an attack. It's taking a group of people and calling them a name. I think that it didn't last very long, but I also think it didn't last very long because people just naturally stopped using it or stopped saying it. And whereas if you look at like MAGA counterparts, I think that you would see like that sort of rhetoric being pushed over and over and over to where it becomes like part of their normal like vocabulary, which is why I think the Trump nicknames are so effective, or like the big beautiful bill is called that, is because they nonstop just say it over and over and over again. And so I think that was like kind of like a glimmer of what could be, because it kind of goes into something else that I heard Jola talk about why MAGA is so effective. I think this is what he said, is that they speak in a very populist sort of way that speaks to the people, like you said.
Wait, sorry. Wait, hang on. I'm so sorry. Hang on. My little brother's talking.
You're good. You're good. I need to pull up chat to see what you guys are shit talking about. The first thing I see is I'll see her saying Monica, Monica, Monica. Yeah, Andy, I don't think that the entire point of that is just to point out hypocrisy, because we have pointed out hypocrisy for years at this point, and it does nothing. It just looks, you look like a limp-wristed, like, fucking loser to be like, oh, well, they did it too. Oh my God, what? Oh my, what? How dare you say that? Like, the
Okay, sorry,
effectiveness.
Oh.
No, you're good. But the effectiveness isn't just the hypocrisy; it's the attack, it's the pointing at the faux tears played by MAGA. It's the hypocrisy being brought up after that, and then it's the attack again to reinforce it. I don't think it's just the hypocrisy of MAGA, because everybody knows they're hypocritical, but they'll just say that the Democrats are hypocritical too, so it doesn't matter. Okay, welcome back. Sorry.
No, you're good. I assume you're responding to the chat from Andy.
Yeah. The thing I was saying with Tim Walz is that he kind of I don't know if it was intentional or not, or just like a weird, no pun intended, but like a weird coincidence where it's the attack, it's speaking to the perception that the public generally has, so it's combining that populist rhetoric that people kind of talk about.
Yeah. Well, it's not like populist because it's not economic, but like, yeah, like that, like widespread sentiment.
Yeah, and it got popular for a little bit, and then it just died off. And it was never, like, I can't think of any other examples besides that have like really shown up.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of how. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was agreeing. Yeah.
Or when saying like JD Vance fucks couches, like. Do you remember how ass mad he was about that?
I love that. Did you see that? Like, they, I didn't look at all the details, so I don't know if I'm like misrepresenting this, but I saw a headline. I'm a headline reader. That there was like someone that was coming in, like a tourist or something, and they found a JD Vance meme, and they got like stopped or detained. Because they found a JD Vance meme on the phone. But like. Yeah, I don't know. Something about, like, I think the reason why it bothers them so much is because, like, like, very basic read. Like, when you have a really elaborate lie, and everyone around you is just, like, perpetually enforcing that lie, and you're living in this delusional reality from that lie, and then someone says something that's just so, like, earth-shatteringly obvious that you're living a lie, you kind of have no response other than to just like fucking freak out and just like as soon as it gets called that, like that Donald Trump isn't the big strong man, right? Like the taco thing was doing well before the DNC made it soy, but like the idea that like Donald Trump always chickens out, like that he's a baby, oh, he's not the big strong man that he pretends to be. Like I think that was effective because it showed just like how delusional their reality is. That how does anyone think that this guy's a good deal maker? He literally hasn't done shit. Like,
yeah. No, like this sounds like I'm being hyperbolic a little bit, but if you ever talk to like a narcissist, like a true narcissist, like anything that is crippling to their identity or their perception by the people around them is just, it completely dysregulates them. They're very fucking ass mad about it. And I think that's kind of like what you see about like when you see something strike them to the core and it kind of gets popular with the sentiment, like you see them actually getting upset.
Yeah, it is definitely like malignant narcissism.
Yeah, and I think like dialing in on that instead of, like speaking for 26 hours, even though it's like a cool, interesting thing to do and everything, like it's not doing anything.
Yeah, I fucking hate that Cory Booker did that so much. The more time that goes on, the more I hate it. Like, why the fuck didn't he do that for the big beautiful bill? Why the fuck? What legislation did he even do that for? Does anyone even fucking remember? No, because he just did it in the random of fucking. He just did it for no fucking reason. He just did it just to do it, just to say that he did it, and everyone was like, "Oh, he should be the next president." What the fuck?
Yeah. It's so gay. But there's like some other side things. But to build off of that last point is you don't have to have people endorse the messaging of like the edgy shit like Destiny was talking about, or his tweet or whatever. But you can at least use it as like a stepping stone or like something to build off of. Like, how many times have you heard MAGA politicians or MAGA pundits and even like MAGA like voters where you bring up some fuck shit that Trump says himself, and they're like, or you even ask them to criticize Trump, they're like, well, teehee, maybe he should like not tweet that, or it's just like a little mean, teehee, blah blah blah. It's like, it's such a non-critique. It's just, oh, maybe he can like not be so mean, but they don't really care. They don't give a fuck. They like that he's mean. Like, they like that sort of stuff that's being said about him because they hate the people that's being said about. So it doesn't matter. Like, who gives a fuck? And you never see MAGA be like, oh, he shouldn't have said that. That was horrible. That looks horrible to the voters. It looks horrible to the citizens and the undecideds and blah, blah, blah. And now you have people that were historically Democrat swayed that are swapping over. And you have the winner of the last fucking election. And I think I haven't thought this out that much. So it's just kind of like a general thought. But Wick kept being like, oh, well, look, the Democrats won in 2020 and 2022, but MAGA won in 2024. And it's like, okay, how much did Democrats win by in 2020 and 2022, for one? And if COVID didn't happen, do you think Joe Biden would have beaten Trump? Like, I don't know if that's if it is likely that he would have beaten him, but I haven't fleshed that out too much. But they'll go against their principled, quote unquote, principled attachments to whatever policy they want to believe in at the expense of supporting the messaging for MAGA. Like, so you don't have to necessarily, this is the distinction I was making, where it was like the action that you put into place as a Democrat using the MAGA, quote unquote, rhetoric is what is distinguishing MAGA from Democrats. You don't have to throw out, I guess, like your principles, because ideally the principles combined with that specific rhetoric is going to be what is politically effective. Like, whenever Trump contradicts himself in one policy advocation and then does the exact opposite, or like his constituents do the exact opposite or whatever, like, that doesn't matter to them. And that's what makes them so disgraceful and disgusting and like horrible, is it's their lack of values and they're just blatant lies to the public. So like, you don't have to fall in line with doing that as a Democrat. You can just as easily like use that political capital to build to something more institutionally appealing, I guess. And also Destiny is like, I'm speaking generally, but with this particular instance, he's very isolated. Like, he doesn't have many orbiters around him anymore. He doesn't have a ton of like social media appearances with like big political MAGA pundits, unless it's on Pierce. And even then, people don't show up because he's on there. So he's very isolated. Just build off the message. You don't have to worry about tending to him or anything necessarily. Like, just say like, oh, like, wasn't that kind of, that was kind of mean maybe, but like, you also agree that you are hypocritical in this way, or you don't give a fuck in this way, or blah blah blah. Like, use that as like an additional attack. I don't know.
Yeah.
There was
No, I agree with
sorry, I'm rambling. It's just a ton of
No, you're good.
ton of shit. And I think Wick agrees with me, because he was with that progressive victory movement thing, and Destiny was like the figurehead of it, basically. Like, he used his community and his identity to advertise that, and he's always been edgy. So like, what's the distinction from then and now for people like Wick, who actively participated in this event alongside other big content creators, despite like Destiny's image? Like, that wasn't forefront to their messaging, but they still were able to use that to build off of movement that was like effective with like door knocking and canvassing and stuff like that. And if you ever watch the X spaces that Destiny and Pisco used to do, I don't know if you've seen those or not, but like Destiny would go hard. He would just go like unhinged at somebody, and then Pisco would play like the good cop, basically, and he'd swoop in. He'd be like, that was kind of mean, right? Like, listen, ignore my friend. He can just be like that sometimes.
Aw,
but
cute.
but the idea that MAGA cares about you in this way and this way and this way is just fucking absurd, right? And it's like he's like playing off of the quote unquote bad cop. Like when within the good cop bad cop analogy, it would be more analogous when people say not to act like MAGA is if they're saying like, no, we should never play bad cop because you don't want to be criminals. You don't want to be like the people you're interrogating. You don't want to be like them.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't have to be like them. You can have that. You can adopt that behavior as a means to the end of like whatever you're trying to do. So like as a cop, you're trying to uphold the law. You're trying to enforce the law, but you're using certain strategies that are more aggressive, I guess, quote unquote. I don't know like a particular way to describe it, but like you're using what's the word? I guess aggressive is fine. You're using these tactics to get what you want, and it's not the end of what you want is the upholding of the law of virtuous like desires, whereas the criminal just wants to steal, they want to lie, they want to murder. Like it's completely different things in my mind that I feel like people don't separate enough.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like to, I don't know, I guess like to take the analogy further, I feel like people are acting like we're asking them to be bad cops and like start fucking torturing people and putting them in Guantanamo Bay. Like our bad cop is just like being a little mean on Twitter. Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also like I think, I don't know, like going back to like playing on like people's underlying sentiments, like a huge portion of the electorate that didn't vote is like seeing the repercussions of them not voting right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I know that like even like personally, like I know people I know people that regret their vote for Trump and like straight up joke about it all the time, about like every single time there's a headline it's like, I'm so sorry I did that. Like, yep, I'm so sorry I did that. I'm so sorry I was so dumb. I'm so sorry I was so dumb. And like I'm seeing more people that like weren't engaged. Obviously this is all like anecdotal, but like I'm imagining like after the end of like the 4 years, I feel like this normie I feel like the rhetoric that everyone is thinking of like what the actual fuck is going on, everything that's being done right now is like batshit crazy. Like, yeah, these people, like, I don't know, I feel like honing in on that is gonna end up being more beneficial in the long run. Like I could see how right now, like historically speaking, because this is how politics have always been and this is what all of the DNC polling data says or whatever, and all of like the DNC shills and all the establishment Democrats, right, like want to look at like how politics have been going and like, okay, well, we can't talk about immigration because immigration doesn't do well with Democrats, so we're not going to focus on immigration anymore because immigration is a losing issue and it's not persuasive to voters. And then you end up literally alienating the entire fucking base because you don't talk about it. Like, I feel like that's I don't know, like the quintessential, like that's always what they do.
Yeah, you're just giving it up, just like they do with the DEI shit. And like, why give anything up if they're completely just incorrect about it? But yeah, like the what you're saying about the sentiment of the general public is kind of like that inclusion of the it doesn't even have to be explicitly populist, but that populist sort of rhetoric where it's like these people are now facing consequences. Like, take advantage of those consequences like happening and say like, this is why we need funding for this. A lot of people don't realize this. We understand the hesitancy of like big government, and we're not trying to do that, but we're trying to also provide relief and ability for people to get whatever they need as soon as they need it in situations like the flooding that was potentially due to the cutting of the workforce, or like taking. There's this thing Pisco does where he pits people against each other in debates, which I think is a really, really interesting strategy. And you saw it with like the Elon split, like the tech bros and everything. But it feels like there's so much more potential to capitalize on that sort of sentiment. If people were to just go a little bit harder with it, like the pork-filled shit, I think if Democrats went harder on it, because I only see like Rand Paul and Thomas Massie talking about the pork stuff, basically, like using their sort of consistency standards to point out, obviously, the hypocrisy, but to weaponize it and to be more aggressive on the attack. Like with the H-1B visas, when you saw Vivek, like during that time, basically get fucking outcasted, or like the what's his name, Bannon, how he hated that shit, how JD Vance is married to an Indian woman, the like Epstein stuff is a huge split that also speaks to like the cultural kind of populist ideals, where it's like, you guys campaigned on this, you guys promised this, like, were you lying the whole time? Were you on the files, or like what's going on? Like, what the fuck? Like, where did they go? Didn't you say you had like a stack of papers on your desk? Didn't you give like 3 dipshit like traitor pieces of like fucking scum these fake folders or whatever to hold up to the press just for like a photo op? Like, is that how you really justify using like pedophilia as like a political talking point? Like, aren't you like, are you guys like the party of pedophiles now? What happened? Was there another like party switch? What happened? It doesn't make any sense. So I just feel like honing in on that sort of thing to be edgy, to bring up like the pedophilia shit, regardless of how provocative it is like a good point to be like, okay, this is in your face. You have to acknowledge this. You can't just give a bullshit standard politician answer of like diverging from the actual thing itself, which is kind of like a point that Wick brought up to me, where he's like, you guys don't have to do this. You guys don't have to be provocative in this way. You guys don't have to say this. Like, I made this tweet and it got 42,000 likes. And it's like, okay, how often do you get tweets with that much engagement? Like, versus how many times have you seen that Twitter clip of Destiny talking about the kids dying in the flood because of the lack of funding from the government programs that people called fraud, waste, and abuse, and the people in those direct communities saying, no, we don't want the federal aid because we've been lied to, saying that the federal government is going to take our land if we take one dime of any of this stuff that is offered to us from the federal government. It's like $5 million, like, or I think it was in the tweet, but it's like that went infinitely more viral. It went on multiple shows. It's being covered in separate segments, separate YouTube channels. It has way more widespread attention. Why not use that attention, capitalize on it, and then build more conversations on it to like critique it in a way that isn't so like bitch made about being like, guys, we just got to be nice. We just got to, come on. Like, you can't say that. Like, there's people that literally died. And it's like, how many times did you see people condemn on the MAGA side, like Nancy Pelosi's husband getting fucking attacked with a hammer from some random dude that broke in, that tried to kill him? Like, they just made it into a gay conspiracy. Like, we don't have to do the gay conspiracy shit, but don't like eat your own side, which is, I think, the Democrats and the left are particularly good at, unfortunately. When I say left, I mean like progressives. Yeah. And you saw that with the Unfuck America tour, with that stupid fucking microaggression, where they called for the woman who owns the PAC to step down because she supposedly microaggressed about, I don't even know still what the microaggression was.
The microaggression
but now she's excised.
Was that she dared insinuate that all black people were uneducated, and she also referred to the group of black women as you guys. How dare she?
Wait, did I ever tell you there was like the secret plot I wanted to do where, because I feel like the white TikTok creators are so cucked to like black people on that app. I wanted to like make a fake organization where it's like advocating on the behalf of like black women, and then jump into their live stream and like have them sign a petition or spread it to their chat or their audience or whatever as like a reformation to calling black women sisters in like solidarity with them, and just calling them solidarity with sisters. I just thought it'd be really funny. But the side thing, But the thing I was also kind of identifying is that, like, on the left broadly, you have Democrats who are more pragmatic, but they're kind of bitch-made and weak, typically. But on the far left, like the progressives, they're very antagonistic, they're very spicy, but they don't do any pragmatic shit. And it's like, like MAGA has a combination of these two things that are so intertwined, and it makes them so politically effective. And it's completely lacking from our side, where it's kind of like microcosm, where like even in the pragmatic side, when people are trying to venture out into the more edgy stuff that people can take advantage of, like, it's shunned, it's shamed, it's saying we can't do this. It's having discussions with other Democrats saying that we can't do this, that's bad or whatever, and that you're the one good Democrat, and you're not doing it, and you have 40,000 likes on Twitter and blah blah blah. Because I know before I hopped on, you identified that there are essential groups to our side that are kind of like venturing out into their own spaces. Like, you have the podcasters, you have the pundits themselves, you have the people that do like debates, like, you just have these different little communities that are all ideally fitting inside this one cohesive group. So it's like, you don't have to fit Destiny or anybody that says edgy, provocative shit like that within, like, they can be their own segment, and you can just use them to propel your narrative, basically, to get conversations going, to get them nationalized. Like, you went on to Piers Morgan because of that, I'm pretty sure, and he's going on to it like today, or he might have been on it this morning already. But like, where do you see that with Wick or his 40,000 like tweet? You don't.
Damn. No, that was just really funny. Like, he's irrelevant. That was a hard read. Yeah, no, I definitely like I was thinking about this when you said, like, the people like the far lefties are like really spicy. Like, there's actually a lot of like parallels in the way that people are so brain dead and ass pained about like Gaza online, and like the like rhetorical effectiveness of that. Like, that's just like an insanely strong. I don't even know what the word would be. But if there was a way to make liking democracy and like the rule of law and liking our cucked out establishments, like, as propagandized and as like rabid as the people are online with MAGA, and like they're ass pained about everything, and people on the left ass pained about everything. I don't. It sounds bad, but I feel like we just need one issue. We just need one issue that no one knows enough about, that we can just start using as a like housing. That we could just start using as like a rhetorical. Yeah, we know that you're all fucking brain dead about this, but you know, rent control, and now we're gonna do rent control in New York City. Like, that's effective, unfortunately.
Yeah. Did you watch the Newsom Charlie Kirk interview?
Yeah.
Where he was talking about the way that the Palestinian movement is so effective because they view it from the lens of the oppressor-oppressee sort of dynamic, like that sort of rhetoric is being used.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you can just as easily do that, especially now with the complete override of like the executive power and like how prominent that exists now. Like, I feel like that you're just as capable of doing that on the left, if not more capable, if you're able to weaponize it in an efficient and proper way. And I think people like AOC should be spearheading that, because she is the waitress New Yorker chick that came up from nothing and is now like one of the household names of the Democrats, or like politics as a whole. Yeah, just like it just doesn't feel very thought out or considered, or like there are ways to just gain that capital that's not, it's just left out there in the open. It's very frustrating, because it is just the hand wringing of, we don't want to be like MAGA. It's like, okay, I just think you're misidentifying what MAGA is then. If you just think it's being mean. Yeah. Oh, and I think this is the last thing so far that I had written, but it's like people like Pisco, where he's very like stubbornly principled about like his Merrick Garland sort of stance.
Ooh, what's his Merrick Garland stance?
He was saying that it was like that the speed at which Merrick Garland handled everything, like it's totally fine, and
really.
Wow. Yeah, because I know a lot of criticism is that like he didn't go fast enough, but he was saying that I think there was a risk of fucking up some stuff if he went like quicker than he did. So he defends him in that sense. And then also him saying that May 29th Chaz, I think it was an insurrection, or saying that he condemns Joe Biden for his pardons of Hunter Biden. Like those are very principled stances that are counter to the typical Democrat narrative. And I feel like you can build off of that fairly easily on a wider basis, where you're like weaponizing your consistency about it. And it doesn't have to only be Pisco. Again, just like this general concept of like combining this with the other examples from earlier, where it drives home that point of like disgusting hypocrisy at the expense of the voters, like pointing that out specifically, where you can say like, yeah, like our party, I feel like it's used against Democrats when they say,
hang on, I'm so sorry. Adelink, if you start fucking talking about socialism in my fucking chat, if you start fucking hating on capitalism, I will ban you from this channel.
Base. I feel like the MAGA crowd, or quote unquote undecided, which are probably voting MAGA, they're like, oh, their president was so senile that they kicked him out of the party. Like, why not use that and say like, well, we have higher standards, so we decided he wasn't like a fit for what we desired in the future anymore, so we like removed him or replaced him from the party, while you guys have somebody who maybe not senile, but is a old, decrepit, disgusting piece of shit who is likely on the Epstein files list, who has always been like inconsistent with wanting to release those files or hesitant about it, and is now condemning reporters for asking about it after the supposed release of them, or not the supposed release, but like the claim that nothing was ever like found out about it. Like, are you guys like so supportive of somebody who's potentially a pedophile that you won't even like get him out of there, who is like completely fucked our economy with like the tariffs, to the point that the head of the Federal Reserve doesn't want to lower interest rates because of that fact, the fact that he lied about having no new wars and then also bombed Iran, like all these things you can just build up and push out in a much more effective way, while also showing your consistency with your side, instead of getting bogged down and defending it over and over and over. Yeah, I don't know. But like I said, I'm going to try and write out something more coherent and succinct. I did see something that Adeline said that triggered me earlier. He said what Trump voters were mostly worried about was their taxes going into unnecessary things.
Oh my god, I saw that and I purposely didn't say anything about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Regardless of your background, Trump voters don't give a fuck about that. They don't want to pay taxes because they're lazy leeches of the government. They are predominantly the ones that receive benefits from the government, but they don't want to pay for it. They want subsidized housing. They want all this stuff free and available to them, like the European countries that they point to, but they're so fucking poor and lazy that they don't want to pay taxes, for one, but then they also don't contribute very much at all to the tax system. So they don't give a fuck about their shit going to wasteful spending. Like, how much shit did we cut from foreign aid for it to not be reinvested internally? They don't give a fuck. It's a vague gesture to placate their base or their friends and family to make it seem like they're more principled than they are, but they're spineless fat blobs of shit. They're yeah.
True. I'm trying to find. I saw this clip earlier. I definitely won't be able to find it now, but it was this woman, because you know Instagram just gives me reels from like 52 weeks ago. Like I'll get reels from like forever ago, And so it was
Yeah.
a reel that this lady made before the election where she was like the Democrats in office right now are making it so that we have to pay taxes for Democrats. Republicans actually don't get any of the money from taxes. And Donald Trump is going to fix that when he goes into office, because instead of taxing the American people for Democrats, he's going to tax China for Republicans. And she was talking about the tariffs. And like it was just like she was one of those, like her lips were the same color as her eyes, and like as like her face, like she was like she had like the MAGA look, like blonde with skinny fucking actually not even lips.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my god, and like the eyeliner that goes all the way around in like a ring and isn't like blended out at all.
You don't like that look?
Not for me. I just like I feel like the next Democrat that gets in office, as well, there's gonna be a bunch of like voter legislation that needs to get like fixed from what this administration is doing in terms of just like registering voters and like all of like the state, like all of like the local state shit that has been like going on. But I feel like one of the biggest voter reformation things that we need is mandatory voting for everyone.
Is that like a serious reformation, or are you saying that like ideally?
I'm being so serious. Like I feel like I feel like if this information system keeps on going the way that it's going right now, you have one party that is so ideologically captured and so ideologically informed that they are, and it just happens to be that they are like the most motivated group. Like Donald Trump consistently gets these people to turn out 3 elections in a row. And they're all retarded and dumb and stupid and idiotic and Neanderthalic and brain dead, and they probably shouldn't be able to vote at all. But like realistically, it's so much easier to get mandatory voting for everyone legislatively than it would be to do like the actual like voter reform laws that my ideal would be a very selective voting. It would be like the very, very like you have to be a very informed, very engaged voter. It would be democratically, as in like everyone would be able to vote on what constitutes an engaged voter and like what constitutes the type of person that can vote. But it would be like an exclusive democracy. Like only the people that meet those standards are allowed to vote. But that would never get passed because it's too elitist. What I could see happening is mandatory voting, where it would fix the problem of all of the normies that are so tired of like hearing about politics in their face all the time that they don't vote, and then they end up getting told about politics all the time because everything went to shit because Donald Trump was in office.
Do you think that the mandatory voting requirement would lead to better or worse outcomes?
I don't know if I don't think that it would inherently. What do you mean by better or worse? Like, what constitutes a better or worse outcome? I think that. Sorry, go.
I was gonna say, I guess my worry is that like at this point, I think people's minds are rotted completely. So mandating them to vote, and it's all based on vibes with no change at all, or no change at this point. That if they were to mandatorily vote, that it would skew in favor of like MAGA.
Really, my logic is the opposite. Well, I guess my thinking is like the opposite. So I think that if everyone did have to vote, that you would have a lot more of the uninterested normie that doesn't know, and like I'm thinking about the people that I go out and like work with, and like the customers that I serve that aren't like super involved in politics, don't know a lot about all of the things that are going on, and so they just don't care enough to vote. And it's like I'm doing pretty well in life, and like I'm gonna be fine regardless of who's in office, so I don't really feel the need to go out and vote. And I feel like those normies intuitively would know, or this is my hope, would be after hearing about Donald Trump and all of this bullshit that's going on like day after day after day after day. My mom's like super sorry that was like a side I'm thinking about my mom right now because she's one of like these like, she's very uninterested in politics. Like her mind literally goes blank whenever I talk about her face literally goes blank whenever I talk about it with her. But she also is like super exhausted about seeing all the deadlines because everyone just is always talking about it because it's fucking politics and it's always like you always just hear it like adjacently. So my hope would be that if you get all of these normies that hear about politics adjacently in the voting electorate, it would even out all of the retards that are actively going out to like the Trump. Hang on, I saw this story where they found a manatee with the name Trump carved like onto the manatee's back. Like
it sounds like some shit RFK would do.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's not normal. That's not normal behavior, and people that act like that are abnormal, and it's not the majority. I just refuse to believe that it's the majority of the electorate. I don't know. I feel like I intuitively feel based off of vibes that if everyone in the country had to vote right now, or even during the 2024 election, if they had to vote, like it wouldn't have gone in favor of Donald Trump if it was mandated that everyone had to vote in the general. But I like just for president, not for like state or local or whatever, just for like the general election.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I guess I'm just worried that they still wouldn't really look into it. They would just go and check something and be like, oh yeah, I heard about Trump, and then like vote for that basically. Or I heard like I am kind of tired of like the woke shit and just go on that vibe. But now because they're mandated to, they would just, I don't think they would have an incentive to look into like what they're voting for, like the average person. But I don't know how that would play out or how realistic that is. That's just my intuition, my hesitancy to allow that.
If everyone had voted, Harris still would have lost. 7,777. Why would you break my heart like this?
Because even if people do go there just to check off boxes, like there's probably going to be quite a bit that are accidentally, or not accidentally, but like just checked for Trump to fill out a box and do your mandatory service, basically. But yeah, I don't know. That I was thinking about it from that perspective, but then also the perspective of like legally we have the ability to vote, or to opt in and out, and I think forcing people to opt in, well, not even opt in, but forcing people to do it without the ability to opt out, unless they like are a felon, I guess, in some states, just feels weird, like an infringement. But I don't know. What is this? This is Australia. I assume you're not showing this to say that this is like an outcome of what happened in America. You're just showing like an example of penalties if you don't follow through with your
Enrollment is legally required at 18 years old. I feel like it wouldn't be that difficult if you when do they snipe you for organ donating? They get you when you're in high school when you register to vote, and then they get you when you get your driver's license for organ donation. I feel like whenever that happens, to find out if you're an organ donor, it should be an automatic like enrollment to vote. And yeah, that was mine. $20 fine if you don't vote. That's so valid.
That's it?
That's so lame. Apparent failure to vote. This too, I don't know. I forgot how long exactly, but I know that we have like a really long campaign season for our elections. they basically spend like 2 years campaigning, like a year and a half campaigning. And in other countries, the elections don't move nearly as slowly as that. I don't know. I feel like I'm just like trying to think in like random voter legislation things. If you took some of the campaign time and made it so that people could vote over like a larger period of time, would that make it better or worse for the information that they would be allotted if they were able to vote for more time?
I don't know, I'll probably read this article later on. I think it's an interesting concept about like the fine and the fact that the fine doesn't cost that much. And I was worried that like what happens if you don't have the ability to go out, but it looks like it addresses this in here. It said it issued first instance notices to over 1.2 million people. But if you give a reason for why you weren't able to, that they'll judge it based on the merits. And it said that 287 electors gave a valid and sufficient reason for not voting in response to these notices. So I think that's interesting. I don't know. I'd have to think about that a little more.
And like jury duty. Everyone is like supposed to have like mandated jury duty. That's like a thing. Like what it like if they could have, oh my gosh, if we had like education courses to go alongside jury duty, because that would also an alternate. I just wanted a more informed electorate. We all just want a more informed electorate. Well, like
yeah.
I'm saying this because someone just uses 7,777 said we should have less things like selective service. These are fundamentally un-American things. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a fan of mandated service in the army.
Well, this is AI, so take this with a grain of salt. It's just the AI overview as a quick thing, because I was wondering what the punishment for jury duty was, and it says that you can, without a valid excuse, it can result in penalties and potential jail time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have one of those for me. Actually, maybe I shouldn't say that out loud.
You meant in Roblox, I think.
I meant in a video game.
Yeah. Like the jury duty Roblox game mode.
The role play, the obby.
Wait, where did you say 7,777 said that? Was that in your chat?
In YouTube chat, yeah. Yeah, I think mandatory service. So I've been thinking about mandatory service. I've never even considered like even the thought of even stepping foot in any type of like military or army anything, and the thought has been in my mind solely because I'm so terrified by the fact that like I saw on the military day parade how many fucking army people were there, and they all looked like they wanted to kill themselves, and it was like no in between. It was like they either looked like they wanted to kill themselves or they were so fucking happy and so glad that they were getting clapped and applauded by all of these random fucking losers around them. It's like this can't be this. This is such a bad portrayal of our army, of our military, that I wouldn't want to join this if I had a brain. So that means that the people that are joining don't have a brain.
Yeah. Yeah, ideally the more informed voter would be the case that we would strive for, but I wonder how AI would kind of result in like more turnouts now that people would have like a readily available sophisticated search engine that can respond to things tailored to their questions, their particular questions or their phrasing. Like, I wonder if that would inform a voter base more, or if they're not informed as to how to prompt it, if that would lead to like worse outcomes. I don't know.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I think about AI a lot. I know someone in real life who uses AI as like a therapy, which is like becoming more and more common. And this person, I've spoken about them because I also talk to ChatGPT sometimes about like philosophy stuff and like political stuff, like just to like bounce ideas and like get like a literal play devil's advocate for me. So I was talking with with him about it, and he's like telling me how, oh, well, I do the ChatGPT prompts so that it's like not biased to me, and I tell it to look outside of me, and I tell it to consider other perspectives, and I tell it to sound human. And I'm like, do you realize that like you're telling a robot to sound human? That's like me telling someone who's tone deaf to play the piano. Like it can do, like she can follow me and follow where my fingers are, but she's not actually like listening to it. Like she's not actually playing the piano, right? Like if like she can't actually like hear anything, right? Like you realize that it's just like pretending to, like it's giving you a human response in the pretension of it. Anyways, this was like maybe like 6 months ago. Fast forward to very recently. This person created an absolutely unhinged fucking psychological evaluation in response to a work conflict that they had. And it was ChatGPT generated, and it was the most like insanely delusional. Like this guy thought that he gave himself a psych degree from fucking ChatGPT, and it was like literally in like case study format, like part 1, breaking down the workplace dynamic. XYZ person is an extroverted like dominant figure, and it was like giving all of these insanely like obviously like bias isn't even the right word. It literally was like his own delusional reality, like written out on paper, and he's so proud of this case study. He's like, look at how good it is, isn't it so accurate? I'm like, what fucking world are you living in? This is not how this happened at all. Like this is not what's going on. And he's like, but there's a part in there in the case study where I clarified that I used ChatGPT and that it was biased from my perspective with ChatGPT. And I fear that there are too many people that will use that logic of like, how do you argue with that? How do you argue with someone who like you can't just tell the computer to be a human and it can be a human. Like you can't just tell ChatGPT, oh, don't be biased, don't consider my bias. Like, oh my gosh, yeah. Like I'm so scared by the I'm so scared by the implications of everyone having a little assistant that literally tells them that they're right at all times and that they're a genius.
That's yeah, I get worried that shit happens too, the GPT stuff. So I'll try and have it like instead just like give the steelman argument of like the opposition of this thought or whatever, instead of like, yeah, pretend you're a human or pretend you're a person and remove your bias of me or my bias, and the amount of information that you have to feed into it personally for it to build a database on you as an individual is just way too much to
that's
try
also
and accommodate for.
Terrifying how much like I never checked to see if that AI regulation that got talked about ever made it into the final copy of the bill.
Oh, yeah, like the one Marjorie was like,
yeah,
I didn't know this was in it.
The idea that we wouldn't be allowed to regulate any artificial intelligence in any state is like really scary.
Yeah, I wonder how that plays into like the deep fake stuff. Because didn't Melania or someone like propose some legislation or like try to get some legislation passed about deepfake pornography?
Oh.
Like, what if you use like the AI for it to generate it? Like, would that be violative of her policy or whatever she wanted to put in place? I could be wrong, but like if it's AI generated, like you can't regulate that, can you? But maybe it like overrides the AI regulation thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
What was that she did? Melania Trump. Deepfake.
Yeah, I don't see any.
The Take It Down Act.
In the bill.
Here's AP. Makes it illegal to knowingly publish or threaten to publish intimate images without the person's consent, including AI-created deepfakes.
Oh, this was so recent. Oh my god. That's so funny.
Yeah, so how do you balance both of those?
Oh my god. Yeah. That's funny. Very funny.
Good intentions. Interesting. I wonder what goes on in their relationship so often. Like, do you think he really did this because he gives a fuck, or that it looks good to the public, or that she like made him do it to, I don't know, get something she wanted?
I have I'm so bullshitting out my ass right now, but like, did you hear that Russian news networks were like showing her nudes when they got leaked all over and like laughing at it? I would die laughing if he found out that there was like a Russian deepfake of like fucking Melania and Putin, and this was his response to it.
True. Well, did you ever see, actually, hold on, before I say this, I want to confirm the date on this.
I also have to go to work in like 5 minutes. So.
All right, this will be the last thing. Oh, this would be so fucking funny if this was the reason why. How do I get to this?
Mandatory college / military service hybrid. You go to school while you're in the service. Yeah. Honestly, that would be cool. I think colleges do like ROTC or some. I don't know what that stands for. Gavin Newsom! What are you doing?
But I wonder if it was because of this, because this was posted in January.
That's
and that bill was passed in May. So he's probably ass mad. Dude, this is why they put the National Guard in California.
That is
because he's ass mad about AI Gavin Newsom fucking his wife.
That's so funny.
Damn, what a Chad. Okay. Well, I'll hop off so that you can do your day stuff. Your normie shit.
Thanks. Sounds good.
Yep. All right. I'll see you later.
On. Peace out.
Yep. Bye.
What are my takeaways from today? Everything in life sucks. Everything that MAGA is doing is always for show. Birthright citizenship is back. It was never going away to begin with. Hang on really quickly. I'm so worried about this. So this, I think I've mentioned this before. I have a lot of friends that are in like the research or like medical, like going to school for like pre-med stuff. And like this medical student loan is actually fucking everything up. Like putting a cap on how much you can take out from medical school to pay for medical school is like crazy. Only $100,000 a year for graduate school, and only $50,000 a year for medical school. What? My undergrad is more than $50,000 a year. What the fuck? Like, what the actual? That's actually insane. And this is medical school. This is after you do undergrad. This is after you do your, like, we're gonna have no doctors. We're gonna have no doctors. We're gonna have no researchers. We're gonna have, this is worse than the Library of Alexandria. There's gonna be literally no one in America doing anything. Like, literally fucking anything. This is gonna set back civilization like fucking, I'm being so dramatic right now, but actually it's like, it's really scary. I was worried. I've been seeing that. I was worried about that, and then I'm also worried about this because this is affecting me. Oh, I'm trying to go back to school too. Oh my god, I'm so upset. Like, I'm so upset. Fucking. I'm paying 2 student loans right now already. Ugh, whatever. I'm literally gonna kill myself. I'm gonna turn socialist with Adalink. I think that education should be free. I think that teachers shouldn't be focusing on monetary and material things, and I think that we should. I think that we should be giving out education for free and knowledge and everything. Yeah. Anyways, all right. Gotta go to work. Gotta blast, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Love you. When am I gonna be back? Tomorrow morning, hopefully. All right.